I don't know if that worked out, but we got new equipment. Wow.
Ireland's most what?
Ireland's most constantly changing nuisance. It's become a nuisance because
It's not even a podcast anymore. Just the most constantly
it's a
changing
nuisance.
like.
Ireland's greatest nuisance. That's what we are, and we're here to bring a nuisance upon the nation by speaking. And is that working on? We got new equipment so that we can get. Someone's calling me. We can't answer that in the show. We got new equipment because we can edit live because we've become busy with our endeavors.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you find the endeavors, Stevie?
I'm endeavoring to endeavor.
Okay. Stevie.
Don't put me on the spot like that.
Speaking of endeavors, our guest has endeavored down here. Am I using that word correctly? Probably not.
No.
Not at all.
I don't think so.
You're not even from here. I'm not, and you know, and I don't. But yeah, Debbie has joined us. Is Debbie Shaw your second name? I was trying to, is that what your second name is?
Yeah, my surname.
Your surname, yeah. And where's your second name from? Your surname?
Scotland.
Is it?
Yeah.
And have you a family from Scotland?
No.
Okay.
So the crack is basically that back in, I don't know probably late 1800s, a Scottish man and an Irish lady couldn't get married.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like Protestant and Catholic and that sort of
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's mad.
And in your terms, Kieran, they endeavoured down to Malta and had a shit ton of boys.
Okay.
So many boys. And so like just the surname stuck. And we have
mad.
it's Deborah Ann Shaw.
Deborah Ann Shaw.
Yeah.
So Deborah, okay, Debbie's short for Deborah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so don't ask me why, but I was raised as Debbie. Like I was baby Debbie.
Yeah.
But they put me down on paper as Deborah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess Deborah, I feel like it's hard to call like a kid Deborah. I feel like
I don't understand how in Malta, right, they
Yeah.
go, this baby, this cute ass baby is going to be given a 50-year-old American lady's name.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I was scrolling on TikTok recently and someone was saying how like it's actually fine if you change your name just like as a brand and make it short and sweet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
should I go as Deb? But I
definitely.
feel like everyone can get away with Seb, like Sebastians get away with Seb. But I feel like going from Debbie to Deb, like
I
people
feel like
already.
Debbie's not too bad though. I feel like Deborah is like the real like.
Oh yeah,
50,
Deborah
but-
is like a lawyer name, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
It's
I remember
like-
there was a thing before as well, like the whole thing of like shortening it to Debbie. Like someone was saying for naming kids, you're actually better off like naming a kid with something that ends in a vowel sound because it travels better. Like if you have to shout their name or like call them over or if they get lost or something.
Yeah.
Like by having like the E at the end, that like it's easier to elongate that so you can shout.
It's very
it
like
better.
nicknaming in fairness.
Yeah.
I remember though back home when it came to getting my new ID card at 18, I had to fill up a form again. And I remember looking at the paper and seeing KA and a few boxes.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to change my fucking name.
What is K? What's that?
Known as.
Oh, no way.
So my ID card now says Deborah
No way.
KA Debbie.
That's cool.
okay.
I didn't know you could
Sure.
do that.
Yeah.
Is Malta, there's a lot of countries that I'm finding out about recently where you have to have a license to cycle a bike. Is Malta one of those countries?
I don't know. I don't think so, though.
Wait, is Malta in Europe? I am probably.
Yeah, it's in
right.
Europe. It's in Europe.
Okay, yeah. And you were saying we have a common connection that I already found out that Malta was also gently inhabited by our neighbours,
Yeah.
England. I didn't know that. So it's part of the Commonwealth, is that what you're saying?
Part of the Commonwealth. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's independence or republic, one of the two, but we would have gotten like full independence in 1970 something.
Okay. And did you was there like a big
No.
fight for it? Like, or-
No.
Okay.
No, nothing in comparison to you guys, in fairness.
Okay.
Like, not at all. Queen Elizabeth loved Malta.
Okay.
Like, so...
She just gave it back.
Yeah.
She's like, here. Why?
We helped out in the war and
Yeah.
all that shit. Like we got the George Cross and all that. She
Yeah.
loves Malta, sunny holiday, that sort of thing. She's like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like,
Yeah. They can have it back.
they can have it. I want to go on my Holliers down there.
Yeah. I
So,
suppose
like,
if she's
speak
going to
about it.
holidays, she's like, I don't want to be just going to holidays in England, like flying over. She's like, give it back to him.
Doesn't look like geographically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Malta is between Italy and Africa.
Yeah,
It's not like there's no competition in comparison to like Ireland and the UK.
Yeah, that's mad. Yeah, and you when you came from here 4 years ago, is that what you were saying?
4 years. 4 years in August.
And why did you come to Ireland?
So I always wanted to move country. Like I never exactly identified with the fact that I'm just gonna be living in a small island for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But I was very strategic and was like, I'll get my education because that's like my easy path to leave the country and it's the safest bet. So I was like, okay, I'll do that and then I'll stay.
Yeah.
So my first year in Ireland was just me locked in, making sure that I get good grades because I was lucky enough that my parents funded my education for my master's degree. So kind of like give that back to them. They got their first class, you know.
That's cool. Yeah.
You know, it's in a nice frame. That's a sort of shite. I stayed here.
Okay, right. That's mad.
I was just thinking
they got the cert, but they didn't get you back. So.
No.
Yeah.
I was just thinking there as well. You said like you didn't want to be stuck on a small island. So
Yeah,
you came
welcome.
to Ireland.
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Lad, you.
What size is Malta compared to Ireland?
Okay, Malta is a third the size of Louth.
Wait,
No
what?
way.
Yeah.
What?
So it's like
it's
that.
it's a walkable distance. Like
It's from like so
I've
like
walked
across it's like
Louth.
27 kilometers, so like that. So
I walked loud, so a third of that walk I did was Malta.
yeah, like if you want, is your phone up? Like if you want, you can just start zooming in on Malta.
That's mad. So Tipperary is bigger than Malta anyway.
Yeah.
you should.
That's mad.
You could just type in like Malta Ireland size comparison.
Malta Ireland size comparison.
People usually make maps for that stuff. Like
So if the folks at home want to join an interactive podcast, you can do the same. Open up your phone, enter in your PIN 0142. That's mine. Oh shit.
I knew it was small, but I didn't think it was that small.
Oh, it's tiny, and
That's
there's
mad.
480,000 people.
And is a class as its own European country?
Yeah.
Does it have and does it use euro?
Yeah.
That's handy. I go there.
No, but like it was 2008 that we got the euro. So like I remember that transition from like the Maltese lira to like euro.
That's mad. It's 316 kilometers square.
Go
Whoa.
on.
That is mad.
I remember.
Go put a shit ton of like add the heat of the Mediterranean and like Mediterraneans are spicy in general, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
So like we're moody. It's really hot. Like everyone has their own story to tell and is ready to go tell anyone to go fuck themselves, basically.
Yeah.
But then we're also Roman Catholic, so you add in the similarity between Ireland when it comes to like taboos and be careful, you know what I mean? Like don't say that, don't do that. What are the neighbors going to think? What's your grandma? Oh yeah.
Is it very like that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's very similar. We experience the exact same Catholic shit.
That's really interesting.
That is mental. Like.
And would it be the same down to like? Is it like that today? Like, is it sort of still expected? Is going to church common? Like, our churches mass and
the attendance in church, like a mass, is definitely decreased.
yeah.
But I wouldn't know about like baptizing your children, but it's kind of the same where like if you have a baby, even if you don't go to mass, you're baptizing it.
Yeah, that's
I never went to mass in my life, but I was baptized. Like
Exactly. You know, like it's very similar.
And you feel like you've sinned, no? You not feel sin. You not feel guilty.
Are you a sinner, Stevie?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't believe in.
You don't believe it's sin.
I don't believe in like anything Catholic.
Are you
at all.
atheist?
I don't know. I'd say probably more agnostic. I don't think I'm sure enough to say atheist. Like I don't believe anything exists, but at the same time, I like
Who are you?
What is agnostic? Not for the folks at home. For me,
I don't agnostic
Fuck
is
the
like
folks at
yeah, because
Agnostic
they're
is like,
much more intelligent than me. I used to always say, for the folks at home, the truth is I don't understand anything.
agnostic is like right. So an atheist is like you fully think right. There's no God.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like
agnostic.
whereas agnostic is like maybe not, but like it doesn't.
You're
really
not
matter.
saying it.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
It makes no difference to me whether it is or isn't. Like you don't have enough evidence to say either way.
That's
basically.
mad.
I like to think of religion as more than like I don't really identify with religion, but I'm going through not even like a spirituality phase, but just like understanding the concept of God without the prophets of like Jesus and Muhammad and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so like going through it, but like weirdly enough, and as cheesy as it fucking sounds, apparently it's all down to love. Which
well, they all say eventually.
yeah, like if you
You're always saying that
if you
as
keep
well.
peeling the
Yeah.
onion, it's like love each other.
Yeah, like down to if you break down and decipher the most like within the Emerald Tablet, whether it's the Emerald Tablet, which is thousands of years old, or whether it's like the Bible or whether it's the Quran, like underneath it all, the very center, it just gets back to just like be sound.
Yeah,
like
just
love,
be sound.
just love, and like it's the whole like thing, and the misunderstanding is like which is interesting. Yeah, like Jesus or is it Yahweh or
Yahweh.
it's something anyway, or there's Yahweh and there's the other one. I get them confused, but the original context, which is like I am, and then there's another one which is love. So like the first words ever spoke in the Bible just says like I am love when it's translated, but it all got lost in
Like
years
humans
of
are
translation.
fucked up.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And if it's not money, it's power, and
Yeah.
it's attention. It's
And we also have this like really like bizarre thing where we like to make everything complicated. Like we can, and I understand it too, like because it's not something I can fully wrap my own head around either. Even though I believe in it, I'm trying to. There is believing and knowing. Like I'm trying to get to know it. Although I believe in it, and I need that belief to get to know it. But I do believe and in somewhat know that like the foundations of everything, even like I feel like is love. But to get there and to understand that, because it's such a basic thing. We came into this world and everything was so complex, and like the goal is not to figure out like what the purpose of life is, and or if we do that, we tend to like look to the stars and all these complex things rather than just like breed and we can't accept that the answer could be simple. It's really hard to accept that it could just be love, because I feel like we go, oh yeah, because this is all too mad to just be a simple answer, and we like to no, but this has to be this and this has to be, and then all of a sudden we have this big mess and like echo of voices, and that's what I think anyway. I don't know. I don't know though.
no, I completely agree. I forgot who the philosopher was, so I would have studied like philosophy, and I remember just being 16 in sixth form, and like one of the first like few lessons was, okay, we're gonna figure out how we can prove God.
Yeah,
and they just start, and they just
that's a project.
was so cool. Like it
That's
was like
cool.
like my first essay was a passion project for me on like, but the
Wow.
only issue was that you had to look at philosophers and just explain their theories rather than coming up with your own.
That's
which is very interesting about education in general, where I think we're going a little bit backwards, and like they're not promoting figuring out your own theory, and it's like
all
you,
studying all
how many theories do you know versus like try figure something out, like try figure something new, which I think is just the like rise in independent creators or independent anything, where they're just like, fuck this, I'm gonna do this myself. Anyways, what the fuck are we talking about? God? Oh yeah. But there were like a good few philosophers that were just like trying to piece things together. And there was one of them which I found really interesting. I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Descartes or someone else. But they basically said that we are born with a blank slate. And as we go about life and all that kind of shit, we've never experienced something that's perfect. Why do we have the thought, though, of something that's perfect?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Where did that come from? And then the theory ended with God.
Yeah.
So that's the perfect being. So there's one way like that. The other one is God is in all these atoms.
Yeah.
Which
the space is in between.
The space, which obviously can probably come back to like people focusing so much on energy and like their vibes and like their chakras and all that.
Yeah. No, I think that's really. I don't know. I do what you're saying about how we tend to. We're just studying other people, and like that's what I started doing. Like I have on my wall, I made this thing like of people that really like changed my life with their they dedicate their life to their work, their philosophies, their beliefs, and all under the principles of love. But you know, some of them you can find the commonalities between all of them, but they'd have different ways of explaining it, which I think is so beautiful as well. Because some people will resonate with some of them and some not, or whatever. It gets the same message across, but the thing as well, though, is there's no point in me just going quoting them and going like if I believed in that message and I thought it was a nice thing and I thought it was nice to share that with someone and I go, thou shall not did that, but speaking all these like Shakespearean language that they did at the time when they spoke, like when they quote them, or these Aristotle or Shakespeare times where language was totally different, like it just comes across like a bit not pretentious, like as in it's very isolating to the rest of the world. And at the time when they spoke like that, that was normally how they spoke. But I think we need to like be silly about it, and I think the way to spread the message is be silly about it, like talking about it on the podcast, translating it into our own words in a fun way that's relatable to the times, if that makes sense. Like
there's a reason why podcasts have become so popular.
Yeah.
Versus mainstream media and journalism.
Yeah.
Because all of them have a stick up their ass.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And they have like an editor and someone that is telling them, no, use it like this, and this is this is how you're supposed to speak. This is how you're supposed to present yourself. Don't wear a t-shirt. Don't swear. My God, when I fucking started the podcast, except for like other people telling me, Deb, calm down on the swearing.
Yeah, we got that.
And I'm like, I curse like a sailor. If I don't...
Yeah.
If I just have to remember the fact that I can't swear, you're not going to get anything out of me just because I'm so like, I'm just so focused
your
on
flow
that.
is gone then. Like,
my flow is gone.
Yeah.
My flow is gone. And that's why like podcasts have become so popular. You know what I mean? Because everyone likes the concept of journalism because it's so fucking interesting, but they don't work with RT.
Just, I was interested in like what your, because we got that a lot, like people asking us not swear. It's like, well, we went through all this effort to make this. Like, if you make your own show, you can work away and not swear, but like this is, we put in all the effort. Why do you think anyway, like, why do you think that is? Like, what the people who were saying it to you, like, what was, like, why do you think they're bothered by it, or what? Yeah.
Because they don't have enough balls to swear.
Really? That's mad. So
I think there's also like this thing of like, there's like an older, it's not just older people, but like a lot of people would kind of view swearing as like, oh, you're swearing because you're like not intelligent enough to have the right word. But sometimes the swear is the right word. So it's like sometimes like if you want to like emphasize something, you're like, you add the word fucking in front of it. Like it's oh, that's terrible. You go, oh, that's fucking terrible. Like that is the right word because you're portraying that emotion, like, and it's like you're portraying it in a way that like people understand. You're not picking some word out of the dictionary that's like huge that no one knows and like going, oh yeah, this means the thing, but like you're using something that's relatable and conveying the emotion. So the idea that like just because you swear means you don't know the real word or you're unintelligent, it's like it's really strange. Like.
No, you're making sense because there is a study about if you swear more, people trust you more.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that study. Yeah.
I do think, however, it goes back to I think majority of the time, it goes back to the fact that, like, kind of what I said on they don't have the balls to swear. But I do think that a lot of people go about their lives consistently pleasing others.
Yeah.
That the moment that they see someone being comfortable enough to say what they want to say and all that, I feel like it could be innately. I'm not saying on purpose.
Yeah.
People are a lot simpler than like everyone says that humans are really complicated, but like I think they're very simple.
Yeah,
and
I
it's not in a degrading way. I'm simple too.
Yeah,
but
I'm definitely simple.
Yeah, but like it's kind of just like innately they go, okay,
yeah,
you shouldn't swear. Like I'm gonna push this little bit of discomfort that I have onto you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's sort of like
it's projection. Yeah,
it's protection. It's protection and make like trying crabs in a bucket, trying to bring down that person down to your level.
What's the crabs in the bucket saying?
Crabs in a bucket mentality. It's called.
What's that? Oh, that's it.
Crabs in a bucket, like when one crab tries to escape a bucket and there's other crabs at the bottom, rather than helping each other out and like climbing out together, the other crabs pull the crab down. Same with the frog. If I'm mistaken, it's the same with frogs as well.
That's mad.
Yeah, they use it a lot in Ireland, same in Malta.
That's interesting. I've never heard that. I've never heard crabs in a bucket.
Yep.
That's cool. There's definitely crabs in buckets around here. In small towns, like there's plenty of crabs in buckets around these parts.
Yeah. Oh, you have notions.
Yeah, we have lots of. I
I kept hearing people say notions for ages, and it was only a few years ago that I actually had the balls to like go like, I don't know what people mean when they say this. Like, can you explain to me? Because like, I had never heard that growing up. That wasn't a thing people
No
said.
way.
And then suddenly, when I was online on social media, everyone's like, "Oh, they have notions and this and that." And I was asking people like, "What does notions mean?" Like, they have notions, and that was the explanation I always got. No one could actually explain
my
to me
God.
what it was.
I can't either,
It's
to be
kind of
honest.
like just because or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And
What
was
does
just
the
like-
word mean? Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yeah,
So I don't know. What
and
it
like
The notion.
eventually,
probably.
someone explained to me.
What's
It's like,
the
okay,
definition?
it's like the whole thing of like, it's like when people always be like, like notions, like, and it was just like a thing like everyone,
yeah, wait, what
everyone grew up with it. So like when they had to explain it to someone who didn't know what it was, they
Mm.
just couldn't explain it to me, and it was really bugged me. Like, 'cause it was just,
Notion.
Yeah, it tripped me out now, 'cause they've always used the
definition.
word.
because it is like I understand now. It means like someone has like kind of
A
I know-
conception of or
Yeah.
belief about something.
Yeah, so
an impulse or desire, especially one of
God.
a whimsical kind.
That's interesting. Can you read that out again?
Okay, so
'Cause
definition
before I
one.
read it out, actually, I want to know. Ask people. Listen, notions is used in traditionally a negative way. Like notions, as if they have the connotations of notions are wrong. So I want people to know that. Now, can you read out the definition?
Okay, so definition
mad.
one is a conception of or belief about something. Definition two is an impulse or desire, especially one of a whimsical kind.
What the fuck is that? Is mad. Like, what is wrong with having
Like,
either of those?
Isn't there a phrase that people
Why?
say?
That's so bizarre.
Like, I feel like is the phrase like notions of grandeur or illusions of grandeur?
Illusions of grandeur.
Yeah, so I feel like notions
The
kind of
illusion.
comes from the same idea as that. That's the way I managed to kind of finally explain
Ah,
stuff what I meant.
right.
That's the whole thing of like
Yeah.
you're leaving out half the phrase, but it's just implied that it's the idea of like notion.
That's mad.
You have the idea that something is that you're bigger than what you are, kind of thing.
That's
but like
mad,
no one could
yeah.
explain it to me for ages. And I didn't want to use the phrase, and it just pissed me off because every time I went anywhere on Irish social media, it was, like,
Yeah.
it was
that's
everywhere.
mad.
Like,
And did you find like when you came here, did you like did you feel like you had to decipher the natives among you, the Irish people? Did you feel like you had to like any Irish sayings, or you're like, what the hell are they talking about? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
thing.
Actually, did like well confuse you? Because I've talked to loads of people online from different countries, and like well is something they can't understand, like saying well for hello.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Even a lot of Irish people don't.
I found that very rude, actually.
Yeah, 'cause people
Yeah.
kind of hear it. You go well, and you're like, well, what? It's like you.
Like I remember receiving texts being like, "Well, Debbie, blah blah blah." blah. I'm like, "Excuse me."
Oh
we're not- we're not here.
yeah.
Like, do
'Cause you're
not.
like, well, like as if you're waiting for an answer. Like, well, Debbie, like,
Well, Debbie, blah blah.
Yeah,
blah. I was
yeah.
like, "Fuck you!" Like, fuck
Yeah,
you.
it comes across really passive aggressive.
Oh
like,
my god,
yeah.
it's so passive aggressive. Like to the
Yeah.
point where I actually said, "I'm like, what do you?" Not to the person, but I'm like, "What the fuck's happening? Like,
Yeah.
are we gonna go?
yeah, yeah.
You know, do I need to open up my notes app right now?
Yeah.
No, because I'm not a confrontational person whatsoever. You know.
So what do you do? You pull out notes. What's a note? Is that?
Don't you ever like if you're gonna like text someone something?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I
you
get you, yeah.
open up the notes app so that you don't like send something accidentally.
No way.
and
That's
you
Yeah.
start like
is that a
cutting
thing?
it
I
backspace.
don't.
yeah,
I
yeah.
probably should.
Or like if someone
Yeah,
sends,
sure.
if someone sends you a message and you do that thing where like you read it but don't open it, and you don't want to look like you spent ages replying, like you can write it in your notes app,
Oh,
copy
wow.
paste.
Go
and
on,
then-
Stevie. Exactly.
That's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Like not the politics, but nearly the nature of like, or the game. It's not games, but like the sort of I don't know what the word is. Is it the politics of texting or like
Yeah.
like you're saying
like the
wh-
mannerisms.
Oh, like
Yeah.
There's a lot of people online talk about that, like with like the whole like kind of, especially like for myself or other people like neurodivergent or autistic, like the whole thing of like trying to navigate those things in normal conversation that other people take for granted. Like, and it's really weird from the outside when before you learn those things, you're kind of like, why do people do this? And then it's like just because it's like, okay, now I have to learn how to do these things. And it's really strange. Like,
That's interesting. Yeah.
Social etiquette.
yeah,
I think that's it.
What is this?
Etiquette.
Oh, social. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually it. Like the etiquette of like texting and trying. I was saying it, talking to him about it last night. I think like where I go, because I'd get like a reading of someone's messages. Like everyone would text differently. I'd learn that real quick the way someone texts. And then like someone who would send a smiley face every time and they didn't send a smiley face, I go, what did I do? I go,
The full stop.
Yeah.
The full stop
yeah.
still
Full
gets
stop.
to me. Are
Really?
you angry at me
yeah.
if you send a full stop? like at the end of a message,
Yeah.
or the okay without the AY at the end.
Oh, I hate that shit.
Oh no, it's okay.
No, but I don't think. But if I'm being honest, anytime anyone has sent just O and K, it was a negative. You know, it was like something's up.
Okay.
I use the I use the ellipsis a lot, like, and like
What's that?
like the 3 dots.
Okay.
I use that a lot, and some people read that as being like kind of passive aggressive, and I don't mean it like that at all. I just mean it as like just imply here's the pause and here's like kind of.
Oh, you do use that.
I do it from like a readability point of view, like
Yeah.
or like I turn off like enter to send on all my messages so I can like paragraph whenever.
Oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that.
What really helps me is like moving to Ireland, I became really aware of my accent and how I like speak and all that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think I'm intimidating or like basically a savage. So when it comes to talking, especially in text, I usually just say, like, I'm not mad. Like I kind of just give a little bit of a disclaimer I am not angry. This is my accent. This is how I talk.
Yeah.
No way.
You know, yeah.
That's mad.
I give a disclaimer now. That has really helped, in fairness.
So
like,
what, people just think
relax.
your accent is just they're picking it up as your tone of voice. That's how your emotions are.
Yeah, like the way I explain things is very bullshitty, passionate, black on white kind of.
I do that as well, and I get passionate about things, and then I kind of catch myself and go, God, like if I was the person, like I feel like I could see why they think I'm directing it at them because they're the only person. This is what I always say as well, is like what I noticed as well is like if you're in a room with one person and they're expressing or you're expressing something intensely or passionate, I always feel like you're shooting an arrow and it has to go somewhere, and I feel like it's going to hit the person that's nearest you. So like, unless they're very balanced or grounded in themselves on a whole other level, like I feel like it can affect them. So I always try and catch myself, like, because I do that like the whole time, like where I get really passionate about one thing and then I kind of go, when they don't set them, like, I don't know. Do you ever get that, like, feel like, well, maybe it's just overthinking as well, that I think like that. I don't know. I don't know.
I used to feel like that a lot, in fairness, and that kind of like really put me in my shell because I used to keep all my ideas to myself.
Yeah.
And all that, because we have the same thing of like, oh, that's never going to happen. You're a dreamer, you know. I would also be told sometimes like, keep this to yourself because you're making people feel uncomfortable with your goals.
That's bizarre, yeah.
You know? So I did have to kind of go back to the drawing board in the sense of figuring out not even who do I want to be, but who am I, you know? Because I was being told I'm too quiet, I'm too loud, I'm too this, I'm too that.
Yeah.
So, and after hearing that for a long time, that becomes you to a point where you kind of have to like chuck certain things out, you know?
Yeah.
What I do now is, the way I handle social situations and that sort of thing is I usually am quite quiet and let people talk first. And let's say if, like, I'm mad into personal development, for example, but I know how sometimes people just want to talk and not be given advice.
Say that again. So, say that again.
So let's say, for example, if you were between like you're considering going back to college and you're like, Deb, I need to see, like, I don't know, I feel like my mind has to be right, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because I am so, all of a sudden I'm surrounding myself by people that are really into this, you know, like through the podcast, and are amazing, like achieving amazing stuff. And I'm really consuming this sort of thing. I feel like I am slowly becoming more capable to being like, listen, I can not help you, but I can probably say better shit this time round, you know?
Yes.
I'm taking a step back and letting them talk it out and keep asking questions. Keep asking questions to the point where then you're just like, you know what, actually? And then like have a little dance with that.
I actually, that kind of reminded me, because the thing you're saying there, like about the whole, like, whether people kind of need advice or whether they need you to just listen and stuff like it. Like, I saw a thing on Twitter the other day, and I wish I could remember what it was, but it was like an acronym that someone was using if someone was like needed to have a serious conversation with something, or they were upset about something, and they like had this acronym that broke it up into like 5 things, and I can't remember what they were, but it was things like, do you need advice? Do you need someone to listen? Do you need me to help with something? And it's like clarifying that in the conversation, so then you could actually provide what the person needed, because like Everyone's guilty of that thing of like someone could just be like venting and literally just want you to sit there and nod your head.
Yeah.
But you'll be trying to offer solutions because like, you know, empathy will kick in and you'll be like, okay, I want to help this person. But they don't want that. They literally just want you to sit there and go, oh, that's bad. And then they talk and it's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
And they just need the person there. And then sometimes people need solutions. And it's really hard to tell. Sometimes you take a step back and sometimes...
Again, it goes back to the concept that people are really fucking simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Ask, what do you want?
Yeah.
You know, like, let them talk. Start with... I think even if someone is uncomfortable of asking that question out of making the person feel a little bit uncomfortable, I don't know, but like, I try to be really aware of men's mental health as well. And I understand that sometimes lads might feel a bit awkward asking said questions, which should be worked on. But like, if we were to take context into this, like, if you are uncomfortable asking the questions, just start with reaffirming, you know, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Carry on and just guide them to finding out the solution themselves. At the end of the day, I understand how people want to provide said solutions. How often is it that you give the most amazing solution and they don't listen?
Yeah.
So often, because they have to come up with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That I had to learn that as well, like, because I kept like, one of the things I prayed for a while ago was like, I pray or ask for whatever you want, and I wasn't like, you know, going into a confession box say prayer, but just at home, like every night, just say, I want to use me as a vessel to help people. I just kept saying that, and then more and more people would start reaching out. But I had to learn the skill of actually not like wrap my head around solutions. Like, you know, it's not like if we're putting on a festival or an event, like where it's like this sort of very box type of thinking, like a maze, or like you're trying to figure out that. Where I was like trying to figure out, okay, they could do this, and it would. Because what I was doing is, if I'm in their position, or if not even if I was in their shoes, but it was like, if they were in my shoes, this is what I would do with my skills or my connections. And then I learned, like, there's all those things that we can't, that they just might not have, or that we might have, or might not be able to see or feel at the time, that makes our advice redundant. So I learned, like, very quickly to do that, like to stop talking and listen. And what I noticed is what happens there is they're because even if they, and I've had experience myself on the other side of it, is even if you don't need to talk, because you're saying everything by not saying anything, because what you're doing is, if they sat at home and said everything they said to you alone, they wouldn't. The difference is they have third perspective. They're, at the same time they're speaking about their problems, they're actually able to listen. And this might be like a real abstract thing, but they're able to listen from your point of view without you even saying that. As in, do you know the way we worry about what people, the way we feel different when we're around someone else and we're on our own, right? That's because we're trying to hear what the person, I'm trying to right now, like, I'm trying to explain this really hard thing, but I'm trying to subconsciously behind this, like, we're always trying to hear what the person is saying, hearing us from the other perspective. I'm really trying to explain this so backwards. But anyway, they become we become like a mirror for them, as a sort of an echo thing for like to bounce back at. That if they're in a room alone, they don't have that, because there's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like another point of energy, or another point of a perspective. Like, they feel like an outsider's perspective is there, that we don't even need to say it, and they just need to feel the bounce.
A reflection of the person you think they are.
Yeah, because we all have, because there's the whole Chinese proverb, we have three faces. The face we show ourselves, the face we show the world, the face we show our friends and family, and then the face no one else ever gets to see, that we only show ourselves. So when you're around those friends or family and reflecting that doubles the process or potential of getting answers.
I think sometimes it's also that level of accountability, you know, where if I said what I'm going to do today to the mirror or to a piece of paper, versus if I told you, I'm going to be a shit ton more productive on whatever I said, you know?
If I told you,
which is bad that I need to work on making sure that like
yeah.
if I wrote it down on a piece of paper, I need to make sure that I got it, you know, because at the end of the day, it's you versus you.
Yeah.
But
The reality is,
the reality is that if I told you,
so would you be more driven off telling, I really love this is interesting. Would you be more driven off telling someone else, like, would you feel, oh, now I gotta go do that or something, like?
in what way, when it comes to like tasks or goals?
What would motivate you more, writing it down or putting it out publicly? So you write it down to yourself and keep that yourself, I'm going to do this, or would putting it out publicly, I'm going to do this?
Oh, it's going to sound like opposite to what I just said. But in terms of like what the goal would be.
Yeah.
And because I want to make sure that I fucking go like double down into the whole you versus you.
Yeah.
That's what I want it to be. I want it to be that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then I would be going back in time in terms of progress and making sure that I please other people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's mad. It's really interesting. Because that's why I try, because my honest answer is, like, I was caught in this trap of, I was, like, causing myself, like, I was damaging myself because I figured out this really smart thing based on my own insecurities and trying to, like, impress others. I figured out a while back that if I put stuff out there, I'll force myself to do it because I don't want to seem like someone that can't do it or something like that. So I used to do that until even recently, probably in the last 6 months, I realized I was doing that. And it worked. And it got me to places and confidence in myself. So it still works. What works. But does it have longevity? No, it was very unhealthy. And it's not that doing that way was unhealthy necessarily. Like, it's okay, I feel like, to want to impress the people you care about. And to, I feel like that's okay. But the thing is that it wasn't, my main goal should be I wanted to impress myself first. Mm-hmm. Like, the fact that I was, like, ignoring... when I was really young, I used to be like able to, want to impress myself first. And then I lost that for a few years ago. For most of my life, I was always like that real solitude. And then I switched over to like, because I was getting like positive affirmations from external from people outside. And I was like, oh, this feels good. People saying nice things. And then I started aiming for that until recently when I noticed that the best feeling when I do get it is like actually just being able to stop and go, whoa, good job, and feel that myself. Because sometimes people were saying good job and things that I didn't feel like were a good job. So,
oh, yeah.
It didn't mean it.
Like, so many people not even come up to me, what the fuck, but like praise me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, wow, you're doing this, you're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Know? Like, but that's what I want to do. What do you mean, good job?
Yeah.
As in, like, thank you, you wiped your ass this morning, like, congrats. You know?
Yeah.
But like, if that's basic to me, I don't need praise for that. It's like giving someone applause for showing up to work, you know?
Yeah.
If you want to really, like, say... what I mean by that is like the compliments. If you're going to toss a compliment to someone, have to go deeper. Deb, really like the questions that you ask.
Yes.
That's fucking different.
I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if someone comes up to us and is like, oh, you're the lads that do that podcast. Fair play.
Yeah, it's kind of offensive, to be honest. It's like, what podcast? Can't even name it. Like.
Yeah, but then when they're like, oh, I really enjoyed that specific podcast. And it's like, okay, grand, you're actually interested in...
Yeah, then that's sound, yeah.
Like when
I always appreciate, even when other people do come up anyway, kind of joking, but like, there is this like weird thing of like... yeah, I don't know. Like it is. I feel like the people that really watch it don't really sit in, and I guess sometimes people are just trying to start a conversation.
I find the same with music as well. Like if I do a gig, like I come down stage and be like, "Oh lads, yeah, that was great." Thanks. But like someone's like, "What was the name of that song that like the second last song you did there?"
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like it kind of feels like a bigger compliment because it's like it's like they're actively listening and they're not just like it's not like they have a book of compliments and go here, have this one. They actually thought about it. Like
I think it also goes back to like the way you calculate on whether or not you did a good job, you know
100%.
Where like if I did a good job enough, you would have wanted to research that second song. So like I'm having this like situation. I've told the story quite a few times, but I had a recent episode and the guest was giving me feedback that he was receiving, right?
Yeah.
So the guests get all the feedback. I get sweet fuck all most of the time.
Yeah.
But they were going like, love the episode.
Yeah.
The podcaster was great.
That's
the
cool.
interviewer was great. But I was
Yeah.
like, mate, like, cheers.
Yeah.
You were on take 2 with Debbie Shaw and I was talking for a good amount of time. I didn't do a good enough job for you to register the name Debbie. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
And that is something that I have to like work on and figure out is the art of conversation.
Yeah.
I want to make sure, like I want my interviews and my conversations to be the kind where I shut the fuck up and let the guests talk. You know, kind of goes back to giving that person that space and that vessel to bounce back off you.
Yeah.
But then I also need to make sure that they know my fucking name so that they tune into the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, 100%. Like, you need to do, like, if any podcast that me or Stevie actually never watched a podcast in his life, like, or listens to
Yeah,
any
no.
podcast. Our first
If
ever.
you don't edit it, why not? You know what I mean? Like,
You don't know, but even, like, any podcast.
Oh, shit.
anywhere. Like, you just,
Yeah,
Really,
no.
Stevie?
like,
No, I've-
anywhere in the world. Just,
No.
The only time I've watched a podcast is when like someone I know is like watching back this one.
stop.
like, any podcast in the world. You just never
Watched,
podcast
never
aren't a thing
listened.
at all. But, yeah, it's mad.
What?
Isn't that mad? Yeah. It's interesting. But,
I don't know. I shouldn't be saying this on a podcast, but I don't. I was saying to Kieran, the
I
other day,
don't like podcasts. This is
don't
his least
understand-
favorite
I don't
one.
understand like the appeal of podcasts because to me it's like, it's like I don't get why I want to listen to people having a conversation, which I shouldn't say when I'm on a podcast. But like, you know, it's like I don't understand it. Like I don't
Okay.
get it.
Okay, look, so like podcasts are basically a new medium, you know, like it's a
Yeah.
new place to have conversations. And the beauty of a podcast is the fact that a long form conversation kind of unravels who the person is. So let's say, for example, a politician, if I were to have a sit down convo with Micheál Martin,
Yeah.
he's not going to keep up after 2 hours. Something
Yeah.
will come through that is more genuine and authentic to who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is long form because it's just long form
You know?
content. It's
So
it's
that's like the appeal to it. You know what I mean? Where like,
Definitely.
let's say if you really like a comedian,
yeah.
rather than getting the scripted version of him or her,
Yeah.
sorry, let's like keep it gender neutral over here,
Yeah.
him or her. Like a conversation, you'd be like, holy shit, man, the banter,
Yeah.
like the wit, that sort of thing. Again, if you don't like podcast, as in, I listen to podcasts, but I go back and forth, you know, with a lot of things, and I mostly take it for inspiration.
Yeah, same.
For me, like my first like experience with a podcast, which is kind of like cute, is at the age of 18. I got, I randomly applied for some like UNESCO thing and got in Paris, and I got chosen because I was obviously the only Maltese applicant.
Yeah.
So like, they're obviously going to accept me. Anyways, so 18 in Paris, and I never traveled alone. And I was actually feeling like quite lonely, you know, like this is the first time that I was exposed to like no one like entertaining me.
Yeah.
And it was a podcast that like made me feel sort of like calmer.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like, and that's what like got me kind of into it afterwards.
And when you were saying like,
Not to offend you, Stevie. You're
Oh, no.
valid.
No,
in
Stevie-
not
No,
like,
liking-
Stevie talks about how much
yeah.
he hates this
No, I
podcast
don't.
all the time
But
on the podcast.
I feel like in general, I don't know. Like I don't know if it's an autism thing. I don't know, but like like I don't seem to like consume media the same way as a lot of people I know. As in like most people I know like love Instagram. Like and I check Instagram maybe twice a week.
Good.
I uploaded a story on Instagram for the first
Yeah,
time
man.
a couple months ago. Like I
Good.
maybe a
Yeah.
year ago at this stage, but that was just because I was like, I've never done that, and it's like like pretty much the only social media I use is Twitter, and even then I don't post. I just lurk.
Lurk.
I just
Yeah.
scroll.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, you're one of
Interesting
the
how
most.
Twitter is the like I would
Isn't
have
it? I
thought
always think
Reddit
that.
would be it.
No, I don't like Reddit.
Is
That's
it too much?
It's too.
I never.
I don't
got into
want to shit.
Twitter.
I don't want to shit on Reddit, but like the bad side of Reddit ruins Reddit for me. Whereas like
Yeah.
I find Twitter really easy to like get the algorithm working so that I don't see a lot of the shit I don't want to see.
Okay.
It's really interesting because like we are like the reason I don't use Twitter is because I just think it's all like arguing and politics from my perception. But Stevie says your perception is the least argument.
Yeah, I find Twitter really enjoyable. It's mostly memes and like.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
The algorithm just really works in my favor.
Yeah.
Like,
There you go. No, like my Twitter algorithm is similar to yours, where it's just like who is gonna be as negative yet witty in writing at the same time. Like it's like a competition for that, and like people calling out each other.
Yeah, that's what I. That's why.
Or like occasionally, fuck me, like you're just scrolling, like, oh, interesting thread, and you're like, there's porn.
That does happen on Twitter, but
oh my god.
I know. I like weird thing is that like I don't avoid comment sections on Twitter. Like I actively read through like hundreds of comments just to see what.
Oh, I love comments.
Because then I love seeing like what other people are saying about things. I can go and like and I get loads of new perspectives on things like.
But it is the like political like. The ground, like that's why like even I don't know, that's why like Elon Musk even wanted to buy it, because what did he say it was? Not the core, what's the name of he said it's I don't know, some stupid name he called it anyway, but it was basically like the symbol of like the place to go to sort out arguments, and all these people like on both sides use it to argue each other politically, but maybe you just don't follow like my problem with it is I hate I open it up because I still have to use it to upload shit for other stuff that we do. And I hate that I have to see the trends, the headlines. Because on Facebook, Instagram, everything else, I can block out. Like, I just use it for work stuff because that's the only reason I want to use social media to grow things.
How do you see trends? Like,
you see the news. It's all news articles and stuff when I open Twitter.
What? When I go, it's just my feed.
I don't know what app you're using, man. It's a totally different experience.
Are you on desktop or mobile?
Desktop.
There you go.
I use
mobile, right. You're a genius. I just thought
love digital marketing.
That's why you're here.
You know what I mean?
I think the real question though is like, do you use like social media in like dark mode or not? Because I can't handle non-dark.
What's that? Like where you dark mode?
Like if I open Twitter now, what Twitter looks like for me? Hold on.
Oh no, I can't do that. I think I know what you're talking about, where it goes all.
It's completely black.
Yeah.
Which one do you use?
The normal one.
Completely black one, like.
I like the black. I like the black, but with working in social media, unfortunately, if you need to screenshot something, it's usually white. So like sometimes I'd have to go back and forth to the point where some of them are in dark mode, some of them are like light.
Oh, that's mad.
Yeah.
Because like I see the opposite when I'm on Twitter then. Like if someone posts a screenshot that's using light mode, people are like, why the fuck are you using light mode? Like
to screenshot it and post it on Instagram. Duh.
That's mad.
I do think that Twitter is not the place to solve arguments though.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh no, definitely not.
No,
like,
it's
that's
a
why
podcast.
I don't really post.
Like podcasts are where
back
they should
to certain problems after school at 3:00 when you're done. What I was gonna ask you is like we were talking. It was just something we were thinking about a while ago. A few minutes ago, what were we talking about? Doesn't matter. But it made me think. It was like, we were talking about how long form content like podcasts is a path to see someone's true selves, because they're on the episode long enough where they might spill tea, and then that's how I really am. So you know what I mean? Like it's about to spill tea, and then I would have showed my true colors. Like whereas it's like a 4-minute video where this guy. He's all proper. He doesn't spill a thing. So that's a lie. I spill things all the time. But other thing I think though, as well as being honest with myself, there's nothing I can do with the fact that part of me will always know there's a camera on. Like, and like I was saying, the 3 faces. There's the face that we, and one of the faces, the ones we show ourselves. I'd love to someday, like, be able to fully show my true face. And it's not far. Like, it's not like I'm inside out when I'm on my own, and like it's not that far off. But do you get what I mean? Do you ever feel like that part you always knows there's a camera there, and it's not that you're still showing your true self, but like I don't know how to even explain that. It makes sense. Like there's a real like truth to who you are when you're alone. Like do you find that like how far from the person you show yourself now to us is that?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, I think that if I were to be like my true self and that sort of thing in front of a camera,
yeah,
I would
get arrested.
No. No, I think I would be a lot more creative.
Yeah.
I would like put more stuff out there and that put me out there. And I think it's just like an element of judging yourself, you know what I mean? And overthinking. And it comes with confidence too, where if I were to, the amount of ideas I get, right? And I'm like, oh, I should really do it. And then like, you actually sit down to do it and you're like, Deb, who the fuck do you think you are filming yourself right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that really like disappoints me in all honesty. So like I wish when it comes to like me talking to a camera is a lot more natural and I am a lot more confident and like be a bit more delusional in the concept of like, no, I believe in myself enough that I think I am not talking shit. Now I know that I am not talking shit.
Yeah.
But adding that in, like that element, like I do judge myself a lot more often. In terms of podcasting, I don't judge myself that much. In the editing phase, I do. I'm a lot more critical of just like, Deb, what you said is not English, you know what I mean? Like, where the fuck is your grammar? Read more. Sometimes even just like my voice or fuck it. Whenever I hear myself laugh, I'm like, Jesus Christ, calm down.
Really? What?
Oh yeah. Because I'd have like two people, it's just me and the guest, right?
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes a serious discussion. If they say something, it's just like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Anyways. So like, I'm a lot more judgmental, but like in that moment.
'Cause that's definitely the stuff. That's a good example of the other people won't notice that.
Repeating the word like.
Oh my God. Right. Yeah. Like.
Silent mode exists,
I
Kieran.
know. Yeah. How do you do that? See, that's why you're a professional podcaster. This is
what do you have, an iPhone? What is it?
No, a cracked phone. Oh my God, who's it's like okay. Sound, vibrate.
Yeah, go on.
And mute.
Yeah.
Technology.
Vibrate might be like might come through.
My God, I'm mute now.
There you go. You got it.
We're ready to start.
Owen is happy now. But what were we saying? Yeah, like even just saying too many phrases at the same time. Like, you know, do you know what I mean? The thing is,
people used to comment,
I know you're one.
That's mad. Because I say like, that's mad. Like I said, that's mad. And I say it so much in general. Like, I don't know why I do that. I just say that's mad.
It's just like it's like your equivalent of like wow or
like
cool.
Instead of wow I say that's mad.
It's like it's actually an affirmation thing. Like
I say fair enough.
Fair enough. No,
fair enough.
That's cool actually. Yeah, it's probably
fair
like
enough.
similar to that.
Okay,
like
so.
It just but like people started commenting that's mad, and I kind of people like I'm the only one that gets negative comments on the podcast, but they're always like, oh, this guy does this, and which I actually don't mind because I'd rather that because they're lovely and they don't deserve it, and
you're not.
Well, I don't mind it. Like, I think it's funny. But the general ones, like, that's mad. I did watch it back, and I was like, my first thing was like, when I seen some people were commenting that, I was like, I don't care. But then I was like, you know what though? I actually agree with that. Like, if I watched that podcast, I would want the person to not say it that much. So I actually stopped it because I was like, it's fair enough. Like,
you stopped it.
The
That's
issue.
mad.
I slowed it down.
The issue with me was that like I'd stop one thing and something else would arise without me knowing.
Exactly. Replace it.
Always.
I think, do you know why I do that though? Is I feel as an example. I was something else I was saying this, which I wanted to say. I was like, sometimes you get guests on, like I was saying this to Santiago yesterday. Actually, that was it. Is if we ever have guests on where, like I'm in a position where, like I feel like the guest is nervous and they don't often give long answers because they're nervous and stuff. So I could either like say nothing and let that nervousness show through, which looks bad in them, and I don't want to do that to the guests. So I tend to like talk, and there's like episodes where like we do more of the talking, and I'd rather come across like pretentious or whatever than for the guest to feel uncomfortable, because it's like and it's like, sorry, a battle with that thing is like, oh my God, people are going to think, oh, this, like, and I was like, oh fuck, I'd actually rather do that. And the same with the that's mad, that's where that comes from, is when it's real quiet, like, and the guest is talking, I can nearly feel like that they're that they're going on in a story. So I throw it in really randomly. And that's why if people are watching it, it'll come across like, oh, that doesn't make sense.
I see.
But I'm doing it every now and again just to so the guest doesn't feel like, so it's nearly like a kick every time, like, oh, there's people listening. So even though I might say that's mad at a time that doesn't make sense, I'm literally only doing it so that the guest won't feel like uncomfortable that they're just talking, because I know what that feels like.
Yeah,
And
it's just
like,
validation that you're listening
Yeah.
and paying attention to
and just
what's going on,
constantly saying it. But yeah, it just comes across. It's just a weird word to say. That's mad. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That is mad.
Yeah. But it's interesting though, like you do have, this has actually been one of my favorite conversations, like, because you have this like confidence and ability to speak, which is interesting that you're kind of saying you're judgmental a bit on yourself, because you do have a real ability to be confident even in the way you listen, and you can feel that, and you can feel that you're listening.
Yeah.
Like, where do you
Thank
think
you.
that comes from? Like, was that before you started podcasting, or?
Oh, all right. I think it comes. So I was always very observational.
Yeah.
You know, probably there's an element of childhood into it where like I was the only girl as well, so you kind of have to sit back and let the boys do it.
And did you
that
have
sort of thing.
many?
Like I would have just one brother, right?
Yeah.
But I was like raised in sports and all that,
Okay,
where like
yeah.
when it comes to football, that sort of thing, I wanted to play just for the crack, you know. But like there came a point where I had to be really quiet. And the one thing, and very observational of people's behavior and the way they spoke in order for me not to upset them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's where the listening aspect comes from it, where it's kind of like I was always very good at arguments because I would listen and let them keep talking.
Yeah,
and the way I would argue was very much like, I hear what you're saying and this is what you're saying, but then you know, I was always very good at disassociating myself, and I was never passionate or fueled by being right.
Yeah.
I was like my fuel right now is people listening and allowing more like people to talk and come forward, you know, because I was that person that had to be shut up all the time, you know. So there is that element, like if we're going to say nature and nurture, people are born athletic, they're born 6'3" and they're really good for basketball. I was born short, but like there's that aspect that I can't explain it, you know.
Yeah.
Naturally, I've always been quite good at arguing. That, and also I used to pick my battles too. So I was never really just like, if we're gonna be silly about it, I'm out, you know, like I don't care.
That's a real skill, like being able to pick your battles.
Yeah.
That I used to have no skill in that. I was taking every battle that was offered. But
No, like I was very mature for my age. I was
Really?
like, my parents used to say I was like a granny in a girl's body.
That's
You know, like I was in primary school. I was at church school, an all girls one, and they were talking to us about the 4 deadly sins.
What are
And
the, wait, there's 4. I thought there was, that's mad.
Euthanasia, abortion, suicide,
Wait,
and
where-
murder.
Is this a religious thing?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
I never heard of this.
Look,
This is mad.
again, remember church schools, girls' school, and like the way they would adapt certain things. I could be really wrong, but that's
No, but yeah, that
Yeah,
was
'cause
the
those
4.
are
But
the
your
4.
experiences, that's just interesting.
yeah. So
it could be
I,
just a
exactly,
Malta.
and I was like the fucking, how old would I have been? Like 9 years old, asking existential questions about like
Yeah, I used to,
euthanasia.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's that too, you know.
I used to get in trouble in school for existential. Actually, I can't
Existential.
speak, but I can think. And I think that used to get me in trouble.
You're doing great, Kieran.
Thanks, I appreciate it. But yeah, like it's. What I was gonna say, there was something. What were you saying second ago? Because that's after it was something really important.
You asked
triggered.
me about like conversation and listening and talking.
Oh yeah. It just
Yeah.
reminded me of what you were saying, that you naturally had that, because I was saying I didn't. I got like a really young age though. Like I said, that was the singularity for my sort of awareness around that. I never really listened, or that shit was. I used to be like at GA. I went hurling training one time, and like I was always like, I was messing or something like that, and the GA coach was like, he just like called me over, and he just like got down like real low and was just like real calmly and peacefully. This guy went on to be a big GA coach as well. I won't say it because but he actually he just came down really low. It was like he said, God gave you one mouth and 2 ears. Why do you think that is? And I was like, oh, I don't know why. He was like, because 2 to listen and 1 to... And I was like, that, just something, the way he said it too was the thing. And a very peaceful, not like, you're bad. Like, you know, it was a very like, here, I'm actually giving you information. And that actually really helped.
I remember one phrase I heard, it wasn't said to me, but it was said to someone else, a teacher said a phrase one day, and it always sticks to me, where it's like, it was like told some, they were giving out though, but it still made sense. They were like giving out something for not listening. It's like, I am listening. It's like, you're not listening, you're waiting for your turn to speak.
That's mad.
And I just think that's a really cool way of explaining active listening. That's like, if you're literally, if you say you're listening, but you're actually just waiting for the pause for the thing you've prepared in your head, you're not listening.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing you're going to say adapts as the conversation goes on.
Like, I think a lot of people are like that and just like want to get... And that's why so many podcasts start and then they quit, you know? Because like, where's the value in that and that sort of thing. Yeah. But it was also for me, like, I was always really massive in making sure that if I don't like something in someone else, I want to make sure that I'm not like that. So I always had that hyper awareness. And one thing that I hated was people not talking about something that they don't know. That's number one. Or arguing.
So say that again. So like
talking about something that they don't know.
And they've been afraid of doing that, or just...
No, not being afraid. Just like talking about shit for the cap, you know, and arguing just for the sake of I'm right and you're wrong, you know. I never like I hate the concept of icks, and I find it disgusting right now. But like, if there was like a major ick in someone, it is just that of like, you shut up, I'm speaking. That I hated it. I was very intimidated by it growing up. Yeah. So I always wanted to make sure that like, when I grow up, I'm going to let younger kids talk and allow them to give that, like, have that space with me. Yeah. And also I need to lead by example too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that I always like never understood, where it's like, you don't tell kids don't smoke, but then you're smoking.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting though? Like, for being honest, there was a time where I was the opposite. That I was the person, this was like a stage where I was like partying like in a way that wasn't healthy and stuff. And I noticed like, and I was never like really intense about like what I was talking about. It was never like, oh, this is right or anything like that, but it was more, I noticed like, why was I talking the most? So even though it was like generally fairly friendly conversation and stuff like that, I realized I was actually talking the most out of an insecurity. I didn't want there be a silence in the room. Yeah, I didn't want there to be enough silence in the room where people could think about me. And even though they wouldn't be, it was like this insecurity. I didn't want them to, is once I would start a train of thought, I never wanted it to end, because if I did, it would give them the space to think, what the fuck is this guy? You know, and it was a weird, and I became aware of that. And once I became aware of it, I was able to not be worried about that anymore. But it was interesting. So it gives me an understanding for people who do that. And when I noticed the pattern, I was very imbalanced in myself at the time, like, and wasn't confident in myself. So I noticed that pattern in the people who I meet that do that now, is that there's actually like, there's a real deep rooted insecurity of like, you know, putting on this thing, because I think deep down they all know as well that like what they're talking about is shite and it doesn't mean it, and you know, it's interesting though. I do think there's like a causation and reason for everyone that does that, like
yeah, like small talk. Like small talk I think is necessary. A lot of people hate it, but like I understand how it's needed sometimes. But surface level chats all the time, which is mostly gossip, is where you're just like, all right. Like I slowly have to like distance myself from not even the person, but sometimes the situation, where it's like, okay, I'm leaving early, you know, I'm not going to stay till 1, I'm staying till 11. You know what I mean?
That was something I was lucky enough to always just never be that into, gossip or anything like that. It just wasn't for me as well. But something that you're passionate about, which you love to talk about, because you're doing too good of a job listening. Like, we need to, it's your turn to talk, because you do good listening on your podcast every episode. But yeah, you're passionate about, you were telling me on the walk up that about creating a safer space, or maybe you can use better words, but like for conversations to be more open. Could you explain like that? Like what?
I think that right now everyone has a stick up their ass.
Yeah.
When it comes to both ends, like if we were to look at the world like politically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we were to take politics out of it in general, when it comes to like just like you're either very conservative or you're very liberal.
Yeah.
And you, unfortunately, it's not that these people are the majority, but they are the loudest, right? And there's a lot of, not even dare I say cancel culture, because it's not about that, but like everyone is ready to correct you on something that doesn't require a correction and requires an education on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do not need to be shunned because you asked a question. You do not need to be shunned because you said something and you have some form of reasoning for it. You know what I mean? And context matters and everything, and education matters and a lot of things. But I think right now there is like quite an issue on social media when it comes to like, you should not be having this conversation. You should not be asking this. You should not be doing this, that. And I am all here for like, I'm not saying I'm here for free speech. I'm not the person that does the free speech, you know? But I do think that I am the person that is well able to entertain some, like I don't really care which, like I can have a conversation with anyone, because I do think that at the end of the day, these people think that they are right, you know? But it's just like that awareness of getting to the happy middle, of getting to the happy medium. And I think right now, everything is either black or it is white. I am right, you are wrong. Vice versa, I am wrong, you're right. And it's putting a silent majority in their shell, which I think could be dangerous in the long run.
Oh, I agree.
You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is when we were younger, and if you ask the question and it's like, because I said so, you know, I feel like that's coming into our adult life where it's like, like, it's not even because I said so, but it's because like, you shouldn't, like, you should know better. You racist, you homophobe, you xenophobe, like, it's like a quick label for everything. You know what I mean?
They're no, 100%. I agree with that. Like, because we were told for years that there's no such thing as silly questions, but apparently there is.
Yeah, there are silly questions in the sense of like, if
wait, why? What would be? Personally, I don't. What would be a silly question?
A silly question, in my opinion, again, would be if you're asking something in order for someone to affirm that you are right.
I actually agree with that. That's cool.
You know what I mean?
That's class.
I think bad.
Up until a minute ago, I didn't think they were silly questions. I actually know what you're talking about.
I think bad fake questions are silly questions.
Yeah.
Like, so like if you, I think that's similar to what you're saying. The whole thing of like, if you're asking a question not to actually get the knowledge from
bad
the answer,
faith,
you're literally just asking the question because you want to just be a dick or stir shit or something.
That's
like
exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Like if you're actively looking for information, there's no bad question.
Yeah.
Like you're being genuine. You're looking for that information. Like
that's really true.
And unfortunately, a lot of people. Again, I'm saying it's always going to be the case. Quite often, it's going to be a silent majority, and it's always the loudest that are the minorities, but talk a lot of the time.
Definitely.
But I do think that a lot of people are scared to ask questions or get like really real with it out of fear of fucking up and coming across as something that is bad and is labeled as bad and something that they don't want to be. You know what I mean?
I think actually that's one thing I started to notice on Twitter as well that I like is people using, I don't know what they call them, but they use like kind of tags at the end of something. So someone is asking a question that could be perceived as being like them being like a devil's advocate or them being this, or it could be like they know it could be perceived in a way that like people might think they're not being genuine. They will actually just like they'll go blah 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 !gen, like GEN, and it's like
For genuine.
so that people know this is a genuine question.
That's
and then
I
people
see.
don't pile on them because they know, okay, no, this person just genuinely
Yeah.
doesn't know
That's
this
interesting.
thing
Yeah.
that we presume everyone knows.
Okay.
But Stevie, the question for that is, why isn't it the assumption that someone is being genuine in their question?
That's
I
interesting.
You know
think-
what I mean?
I do think it's because like a lot online, especially like people do. Like the amount of times people will ask a question where they don't actually want the answer, like you said, the whole thing where you were saying
yeah.
like, of people don't actually want the answer, they just want like, oh, so I'm right, like they just want
Yeah.
that
I feel
validation.
like Twitter does.
Tone of
That's.
voice,
I feel
eh?
like on Twitter you need the hashtag Gen, definitely. I haven't seen that on any other platform
'Cause
because
it's
that's my.
text. Yeah.
I feel like Twitter is like a lot of the time. Like the people doing that, being provocative.
Or /s could be like sarcastic, or /j
Yeah.
joking, like it's kind of
It is interesting. I don't know. Like I think text, like it's like I was saying earlier, like misunderstanding people's texts because there's no emotions in it. A smiley face they've
Yeah.
helped with that, but there's never like I don't.
yeah. But then you have the whole thing of like, oh, they use that smiley face. That's
Yeah.
the passive aggressive
Yeah.
smiley. This is the one that means they're happy.
Yeah, like I I didn't know.
Yeah, like which smiley face is it? The one with like the perky eyes or
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
I always use like the tongue emoji in like a real like friendly way and real friendly. But someone was telling me that like comes across to them like real flirty, and I was like, that's totally different. Like I couldn't think of a more unflirty emoji to send than the tongue one. Like as in, I'm just a silly. This is just a silly emoji. But they were saying to them it's like really flirty, and I was like, that's bizarre. Like totally different. What? Yeah, when you were sending me tongue, you're my brother. You were sending me tongue emoji.
Oh,
no, but I use them in.
yes.
It's so mad.
Oh, no. And-
No.
yeah, oh, even better. You're
yeah.
keep saying that. Go on, Owen. What
Yeah.
other emojis do you fucking send on to people?
Yeah. No, I
The Emoji Bible by Owen.
yeah. No, I use it in the same way though, a friendly way, but it's just interesting. Totally.
I am
different.
seeing a lot of content lately of people bringing up like people who use emojis wrong, and it's really funny. Like
Yeah.
even just simple things, like someone was saying like, oh, we had an eggplant casserole for, like someone texted like their
yeah.
brother, and I was like, oh, we had an eggplant casserole for dinner, and I thought of you, and then just had a load of eggplant emojis. They're like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like that's not what that means.
The eggplant, for those who need to know, represents the penis. Is that what you're speaking of?
No. What?
Oh, right.
No, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like anyway, but like back to the like whole conversation thing. Like, why? What do you think the answer is to creating a space? Would you though like? I feel like though there's no problem with that offline. I never like all that, like I just zero times do I ever like obviously in a pub even before the internet existed people would say something getting into an argument. I think that'll always be, but
Yeah.
like the amount of like that whole thing, I just feel like there's no problem with it offline. I feel like it needs to be sorted out online. I don't know. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, of course it needs to be sorted out online.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I think when it comes to the freedom of speech, right,
yeah,
is that a lot of people use it as a shield to be dicks.
yeah.
And there is that so like Twitter and like the whole Elon Musk thing. It's like, oh no, you're canceling the wrong people and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
for asking questions or bringing up a theory or their point of view, perspective, that sort of thing, or sometimes even statistics, right? Which, in my opinion, is damaging because I think that right now it's kind of like, I'm not saying that the far right don't have a voice. They do have a voice, unfortunately. Not unfortunately. That's the wrong choice of words. But they do have voice. But it's like whenever someone kind of like brings up a perspective that could be entertained or could potentially be entertained,
Yeah.
platforms remove it, right? And what I mean by damaging is that sometimes I think right now a lot of us are spoon-fed into this is what you should think. This is what you should ask. We're going to hide certain concepts from you. And
Yeah.
I am all for responsibility
Yeah.
in you figuring out on your own
Without any of the internet.
what you like. No,
Yeah.
not without
Or,
reading the
okay.
internet. What you want to think and
Okay,
why.
Yeah.
And that is where then you bring up like a yellow pages style of information, you know? And you can go about carrying out your information and getting a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and a little bit of that, which kind of like circles back to the beginning of our discussion, which is promoting independent education. You know, coming up with not even your own theory. We don't need fucking a world of Einsteins. But at the end of the day, we are our own people to the point where you should think individually.
Definitely. I 100% agree with that.
Your politicians should not be your fucking saints.
Yeah.
Or your, like, anyone, you know what I mean? Activists, that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, we are all fucking human. We wipe our ass the same fucking way.
Yeah.
So there's no point in putting certain people up on a pedestal. Again, everyone on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Not just one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's about, like, exposing yourself to, ideally, the correct people, you know? And sharing said information. So let's say... in something, I don't want to get controversial, but like, I don't know, man. Cow's milk.
Yeah.
Does it give you breast cancer or not?
Yeah.
And you can go about and find it and reading and like educating yourself on whichever research papers and finding the criticism to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is like lacking right now, is that space for critique.
Yeah.
You know?
The thing I find interesting with it as well is like I'm so open to like both, like I'm open to everything because I like try and not see it like our problem. I think most of the problems is we've created this left and right division, blue and red, or what was the thing I seen? I think it was a Kendrick Lamar, or no, it wasn't. Was it Tyler the Creator? Someone had a lyric in their some lyric, and I can't remember verbatim, but it was like and all these gangs and they're wearing blue and red, but I'm not talking about the Bloods and Crips, like, and I thought like fuck, like that's what
exactly
like, it has become like blue versus red, and it used to be the Bloods and Crips, but now it's like we're seeing it as like, okay, which side are you on? And I'm wearing blue and you're wearing red, and I'm proud of the blue and I'm proud of the red, but they're just colors. And I think that like the way I start changing is like trying to always remember that, like, to not speak to the person because they're on the blue side, or I say speak to the person because they were born into this scary world at the time for them, when they were born alone in this world as a child who went through shit, lots of shit, no matter what color their jersey they're wearing, they went through lots of shit, and now they're here in this moment and they want to say something. Then I want to listen. And I always find the value in what they're saying, no matter how perceivably horrible it is.
Exactly. And I feel like right now a lot of people, again, not just politicians, but probably even just like CEOs running their companies, massive social media accounts, that sort of thing. It's just like, let's focus on how much we can benefit and how far we can go individually. And if that means creating a community that only wants to listen to us and all that kind of stuff, then that's the benefit, you know? And that's not, it's like the focus has to go on the greater good. And right now the focus is not on the greater good, which in my opinion, I think greater good would be less division, more peace, equality in like equal opportunity, if that makes sense, as much as that can go, because at the end of the day, you can't control which family you are born into. You can't control which country you're born into. So like as much as equal opportunity as you can. And again, it goes to like independent thinking. And figuring out where that middle ground is, you know? You don't need to sway someone to like do something. Like at the end of the day, as long as we can recycle, man, you know, and like figure out like how we can make the earth a little bit better for our kids to not be in a shithole whenever like they're going to be raised. Like that's like the best thing. It's not going out to party because your political party won. You know?
What do you like? Because what I find interesting is in a world with the left and right, and when I get myself caught up in that, I'll find there's something that on one side that they might be fighting for that I'm totally on their side, and think that the other side are like, just me personally, I think that's completely unfair. Like that, you know, whether it's like human, like as in, I don't know, example like I totally like on the side of like, 'cause when you have so many friends who are like in LGBT, like, or whether even people who are trans and stuff like that, like I would, as a person, not because I'm on the left or because I believe in anything political, as a person, I would kill for those people. I love them.
Yeah.
I don't want anything bad to happen for them. So I would fight for that. But then on the other side, there might be something completely else that the left side are like, and the other thing I feel like is hurting the people, and then I would kill for those people too.
Yeah.
It's fucking, and that's like really.
It's very tough
bizarre.
because like if you were to get like just in general, let's say like issues that the LGBT community faces and
Yeah.
all that, you know, it's all for making sure that we like anyone who identifies that way
Yeah.
is represented properly and all that.
Yeah.
But I think again, humans sometimes overcomplicate certain things, and it's like, look, at the end of the day, gay, lesbian, or trans, whatever, you're gonna have to coexist with heterosexual people too, you know. You can't, I'm not saying you can't get everything, but then if someone were to question maybe one policy, question a policy, I say again, side note, making sure that you are not a content trying to entertain a specific perspective, but questioning just to understand it, maybe raise potential issues for the future, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit of future thinking. That does not make you a homophobe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think the tricky part though is that like it is the intense emotions and fear that like that, and it's hard because there's no, because it is the majority. I would say people like you or people like I or Stevie would ask those questions in a genuine way, but I do also understand the fear that like someone who's trans, because the reality I believe is that a lot of the time, though I still don't think no matter what those people should be like banned or anything like that. I don't think that's the answer. I don't think we have the answer. That's the thing. I think we're trying to get the solutions with what we have rather than looking to build more to come up with better solutions to all these problems. But I do also understand like the genuine fear that someone who is in that position worried about laws reverting back to a scary place, which it does, and like. And if I put myself in those shoes, like I like that,
you'd be defensive.
Yeah,
you know,
like
I understand that someone would be defensive because they would have worked so hard and making sure that they are comfortable and they have this life that they worked so hard to get. So you get that. Yeah. But being defensive gets you nowhere except for most likely you becoming very isolated. Or surrounding yourself. Yeah. Or you end up surrounding yourself with people that will just consistently reaffirm, and you're just digging a grave together, you know? Yeah, I do agree. I just wonder though, you know, like it's like a knee-jerk reaction. Like what I was saying earlier, when I was at those parties and I wouldn't stop talking, I wasn't trying to be a dickhead or anything. I was like actually scared and alone on the inside. So I kept talking. So I wonder with people like who might be trans, for example, and they feel scared and alone, and now they're coming across as like, oh, they're very opinionated and they're very like, you know, the reality of you or I or anyone that's very opinionated is it's coming from a place of our own fear. I truly believe if you're fully balanced and not insecure in the slightest way, you'd have nothing to say at all. Like that you would just be in the water. You'd be a drop in the ocean. And I don't think there's one person alive right now that, I mean, you might have those mad bastard monks who are fucking, you know, going 24/7. That's where the self-awareness comes from. You know what I mean? It's that self-awareness and like being well able to be vulnerable in saying, this is my situation right now. This is my bias. This is what I think. This is what I fear. I fear this question being asked at the doll because I'm scared that it's going to be presented to people that I think do not do not want the best for me. This is why I'm like responding this way, which is completely valid, you know? And that's why I think essentially there has to be nearly like a fucking course for politicians to understand that it's not in it for them. I don't I question the political the system, right? The system that we have right now, probably worldwide, is like bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why are you focusing on this when you should be focusing on that?
Yeah.
Or why are you wasting fucking spit and valuable time?
Yeah.
You know, no wonder no one votes.
Yeah.
Or no wonder people aren't voting for the right people, because, like, again, it goes back to people being simple.
Yeah.
You know, the politicians that fucking get elected are the ones that are really good at putting their ego aside and being like, listen, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't care if I come across as a asshole, but
Yeah.
I want to go for the 50 and ups that have their kids at private schools.
Definitely. I think there's a book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, and it's like another book.
No, but that's a lovely title. King, Warrior, Magician, Lover.
The 4 archetypes are like the...
Okay.
It's like, it's supposed to be like, it represent the 4 archetypes. And if you master any of those things to feel fulfilled, but if you master all of them, that's like it. Like, and but it talks about there's but they refer to the pure king and the bipolar king, the pure lover and the bipolar lover. So people are doing it from a place, either one is doing it from a place of fear and love. So call, and king is like, it's not even to do with just for men, it's just like, so call it like king for all the people that get into the doll or whatever. So you dare in the book anyway, they talk about how you know, they use it like does the bipolar king, who is the king because they want to sit in the throne and because they were her kid and they want to be on the throne and they want people to know that they're in charge. And then there's the pure king, who does it out of, for some reason, and they're just born with it, or I don't even think you have to be born with it, I think you can learn it, but to give yourself to love, which is to give yourself to the land and to the people, to do everything in the best interest of the land or the people all across the world.
Yeah.
And I think there's none of that in any of the governments. I think you get exceptions. I think you get, like, there was the president of Uruguay a few years ago, I don't know if he's still the president, he had nothing and he would drive around in his shitty car, and this guy had pure love and light in his eyes, and he would just, any bit of money he was getting in was all going out, and you could see it, and his life's fulfilled even if he's driving a really shitty car. I think that there won't be balance until like love will have to not become as in be made or anything, like it will naturally, the process will be, love will naturally become the main criteria to getting into politics, not because you're good at fixing potholes, or not because you would be great at you know, putting into whatever regulation, whatever into place or laws or whatever, like, but that you actually can just, I do think when you meet people who just work from love first, they don't do that, they just don't do wrong, and then if they do, they're forgiven straight away because you know, you can see who they are. And I think
exactly. And it's also like, I think that a lot of people that have the power to make said change are so scared of fucking up because they're going to lose their job or they're going to get cancelled, you know, which I think the community should calm down a little bit on that. Just in order to let these people breathe a little bit in figuring out what, like, you can all,
I know what you're,
you know what I mean? It's kind of like a trial and error. Unfortunately, a lot of things do not move because of fear of it failing and that sort of thing. So that's one end. Another end is also kind of like, as you said, are these people in it because they love the country? Is it because they love the people, or is it because they love themselves and they love the idea of showing up and having all of that, which is natural, you know? Like, I would love to have a live conversation. That's like the ego side of things, where I always used to, like, I remember being in Athens and seeing, like, the fucking things where philosophers would be and all these seats and all that, and just like legacy. So I understand how that could be a fuel and a goal. But then it is, where is the love for that? Where is the love for speech? Is it like, what is it? You know?
It's a tricky thing. Like, I had to, but like, my honest reaction is, and this isn't saying, I think everyone in there I think everyone kind of weird way can work from the things that they love, but not from love as a pure baseline. Like we were saying at the start of this.
Yes, exactly.
That love is a constant force. Like, do you ever see, my favorite movie is Interstellar, because like at the end, like the reveal is like that love was the thing that can, love is the only thing that can transcend time. And I believe love is the only thing that can transcend time. And is also the constant between every moment and everything. Like, I think it is the thing that science can't answer yet is what's in between the atom. I think that's love. I think it's all love. The thing though is we get that confused, and we start to love certain things, or we start to love certain ideas to make ourselves feel comfortable in a very scary world. So a lot of the people, if not all of them, at least in the Dáil, or I would say, I don't think any of them have found unconditional love, because, and I do really feel like that the only way, I'll be honest, like, right, I'll just be honest. Like, so someone who's like, so there's two sides of the argument, generally left and right, which is like, for example, I'll just pick two things that I found love for is like, okay, so politics were all divided in there. So when people are fighting for trans rights, something like that, half of them like aren't having the love for people who are trans, whatever they believe or whatever they need to do, they feel how they do. And regardless whether you agree with, I love that person for who they are, because underneath it all, I always go back to when I don't agree with someone, I always look at them long enough till I see them as a kid again. And when I can see them as a kid again, you can start to see the pain that would start to build up on them to put them into a position. So I think no matter what the person is saying, I love them. But I do understand like the trans thing, and I do think that people should feel how they want, and I have love for that. Then the other side is I also had love for, I'm not saying like I wasn't like against masks or anything like that, but I had like lots of love for the people who were scared about wearing them and stuff like that. So there are two examples of things on the other side. And like, I just do not see how there's ever going to be balance unless you can have love for both of them. And two sides are ripping the heads off each other for both things, which is mental to me. And then you go up to the Dáil and two sides are fighting over the same thing. And there will never be change until like, and that's reality, until you, even if it's something you hate, even if you think they're Nazis, or even if you think that they're mentally, like either, whatever you think on either side, I don't think that like, unless you can have empathy and compassion and remember that they were once kids, and to be able to do that doesn't mean you have to accept what they do or agree what they do, but to have that empathy is the most lacking thing in the world. Everyone in power is missing that on both sides, and I think that's why I say when it's like about being in the middle, it's like I don't actually believe in the middle, because I don't believe in the left or right. I just think they're like, it's all like weird concepts we've unfortunately put in ourselves, but they're good points of understanding and compasses in the world, which is good. That's why like I find it hard, like, you know, because people say, oh, if you're in the middle, it's like you're not fighting for anything. But it's like, unfortunately, I'm in the middle because I'm fighting for everything. Not because I'm not fighting for anything. It's because I'm fighting for everything. I'm fighting for everyone to be. I want that. I want everyone. I don't care what they did. I think forgiveness should be an option in every situation, and that's the way. If you care about a future where no one's getting hurt, it's forgive the people who are hurting now, and then the future generations won't be hurt if we can figure that out. For sure, that, and just like, and I think that the root for all of that is an authentic conversation. Yeah, exactly. And a safe space. Where someone can be vulnerable with you about what they think, what they fear, and figuring out where is that empathy found. You know? And we're lacking that. No, I agree with that. You know? Like back in the day, people would just show up and have this person talk, and then like on fucking God knows what to write down, you know? And then they're just like consulting each other and figuring it out, you know? So there's that. But then there's also like humans naturally. They would have, if I'm not mistaken, Socrates was killed or something, and he was sentenced to death, and I think he drank like poison himself or something like that. Jesus Christ, the story of him. What? He was preaching love and the word. He got crucified. So these people that are trying to preach that and just like the goodness of it get shunned. And right now it's in the form of socially embarrassing someone and isolating them to a point where
mentally,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow,
Yeah.
you know? And we're losing too many people.
Yeah, and that's the bizarre thing is that like both sides, like if you care about people, because don't both, because one thing both sides kind of can agree on is that like people killing themselves isn't right, like, you know, and it's like, well, let's sort that out, like, and it's like that's why both sides need to somehow figure out, like, I know, and that's even a problem even saying sides, but I think everyone needs to figure out, because when someone does kill themselves, no matter what their opinion was, like they might have fought down in the pub, you go, God, I wish I did something about that, or God, I wish, and it's like, well, we can do something about that now.
What do people usually say that they wish they did? I wish I spoke to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I get, yeah.
I wish I listened to them. I wish I reached out.
Yeah, and it's like that is a common thing that is said, so it's like, yeah, we should do that now while with the ones who are here. That will prevent it, like.
Yeah.
And it probably has, and that's the thing to remember as well, is like, it's the problem is it can't be measured. It's, you can measure the suicide rate, but you can't measure the rate of the people who didn't, because you don't know, because you don't know who hasn't, like, you know, because everyone's nearly had like thoughts or something like that. So it's about not needing to know and just knowing that the most important thing is that do what you can, what you feel is best, and hope that people will stick around, like.
Yeah, like talking about that, for example, it was on my podcast with Paul, the Lost King of Ulster, where we were just chatting about men's mental health, and I was like, oh, there's a higher suicide rate among men.
Yeah, is that what, you know what the number is, that much, like?
It was, I wouldn't know the number for it, but that's like what the most popular stat is.
Okay, yeah.
Women attempt it 3 times more than men.
Oh wow.
So men are more successful.
That's mad.
And that's something about like the men's mental health discussion, where if it was never brought up,
yeah,
I would have lived my life with that stat being in me, like that. All men have it harder, where at the end of the day, it's not a competition of who has it harder mentally. Yeah. It's not men have it harder because they kill themselves more. Yeah. Women technically attempt it more. Yeah. We are both struggling. That is that's the happy middle, that if you peel the onion, this is where you get to. Yeah. You know? Which I think is quite like beautiful in that sense, because then after just like that brief conversation that I'm so glad is documented, I kind of I went about my day knowing that I need to be gentle to everyone. Yeah. You know?
Because it is just, you don't know, like it's cliche, and it should, I hope it becomes more cliche, and I hope it becomes more cringy, but you don't know what people are going through, and it should be, and the reason it's cliche is because it's getting said a lot, so good. I'm glad that's cliche, because you don't know what people are going through at all, like. And
yeah, but like the be kind, for example, hashtag, that's always trending, but discussions are not there. I don't know, you tell me about your Twitter, Stevie. Like, are people nice on there?
What do you think about?
Yeah, Stevie.
What do you think about drugs?
Yeah. Say no or yes. Oh my God, he's in like a fucking. What's your take on this? I'd love to know.
On which part?
The polarization and figuring out the happy medium and what we need.
I kind of avoid the conversation on purpose, to be honest.
Don't.
Because like one of my least favorite arguments, and something that really annoys me, is the whole both sides argument, because it's like when people say like you've got the extreme left and the extreme right, they're not even talking about the extreme left. They're talking, like in America they say blue versus red, but like Democrats are like center, and Republicans are like right of center. So the extreme left aren't even in the conversation, but they're being criticized for things that the like center left does. And like I'm far left, like I'm a socialist, like, and like you know, there's like only one socialist party in Ireland.
I
so
definitely agree.
But then that's interesting, right? There's only one socialist party in Ireland, but then the discussion on social media and who's the loudest, correct me.
But see, it's not actually like the socialists aren't usually the loudest. Like the people, whenever I see people say the extreme left, the people they're talking about have completely different views to me.
Okay.
They're not socialist.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
most of the time in America, it's
There's
like
a niche thing.
it's like it's what would be called like the liberals. So like liberals
Yeah.
would be like left of center. If you're
Yeah,
basing it on
yeah.
a compass, like
Okay.
liberals would be
Yeah.
in or around the center or left of center, or even some of them are right of center still, because like liberalism comes into capitalism. Like, but those people, because they're extreme in their views, they're labeled the extreme left. But the extreme left is actually people who would be into socialism, communism. So
Oh,
just
wow.
because your
Okay.
views are extreme
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're on the extreme of the spectrum.
Because your
Yeah.
views are extreme, does not make you an extremist? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like, so
Okay.
like I would be like far left. Like
Okay.
like I'd be like kind of if I don't believe in the political compass because it's too simplified. But if you were to
Yeah,
look at the
yeah.
compass, like I can't be any more further left.
Wow.
Like,
all right. Yeah.
Like, but when I see people talking about the left online, it is like people who are like liberals, left of center, and people talking about like, oh, like people like Joe Biden and Obama and saying like, oh, they're left wing, and it's like they're not left wing at all.
they're not
like,
left-wing,
They're not
yeah.
left wing at all. But yeah, people are saying, oh, we need a happy medium between them. So the reason I hate the both sides argument is like, if you're viewing like someone who's not even at the left as the extreme, and you're viewing someone here as the other extreme, you're going to land up here in the middle. But the real left is all the way over here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So like you're actually
yeah.
nowhere near finding middle ground. You're actually just moving right.
Okay. So, what would, in saying that, I'm trying to figure out an analogy or something, or a different example to politics. But like, obviously, this is like we're talking about politics. But where do you think that space is based on both of these definitions of like the actual far left, as you're saying, like socialist? Far right, who would be, I'm assuming the far right wouldn't be the Donald Trump kind, but would be like only white America, correct? Straight white.
Well, no.
cis.
Well,
I don't know.
like
Again,
far right, like it's like you would view kind of like
like, are the Democrats the solution to this? Because politically, we're not doing well.
no, like if you like realistically, if you put Democrats onto like a political compass and compare it to Ireland, like they're about the same as like where like Fianna Fáil Fine Gael are.
Yeah.
In fact, they're probably slightly further
Yeah.
right, and like Fianna Fáil Fine Gael are right wing in Ireland.
So we kind of like identified that considering these two definitions, the Democrats are the closest to the happy medium, but the medium is not working out well.
Yeah, because like
Exactly.
it's not actually the medium, and it's like
Yeah.
and there is
Ooh,
there is
okay.
and
That's
there is the whole thing then as well of like just because you have two sides, the medium isn't always going to be the answer. It's like, and I don't want to use an extreme example because then I'll be getting into like a logical fallacy, like, and I don't want to like do that. Like, I don't want to like
Do it.
Do it.
Get into a
No.
logical fallacy.
because like using logical fallacies then would just kind of erase the point. But like
Nah,
the thing
it's
is like,
okay,
all right, if you were to go like extreme idea here, and
Yeah.
meet in the middle, that could be like. Just because this idea is extreme doesn't mean it's extreme bad, and just because this is like it doesn't mean extreme good. So like I don't know.
So
Like if I had to use like, and it is a logical fallacy, I hate to do it, like, but like, right. So the idea of like, all right, imagine someone over here says we need to kill all type A people,
Yeah.
and the person over here says we should kill no type A people. Then the middle ground is we should kill half the type A people. And that's still definitely wrong.
I see. Okay.
Do you know? So like,
Okay.
in that
Yeah, that's
situation,
true.
in that situation,
Yeah.
I agree.
this extreme is completely correct. We shouldn't kill any of them.
Yeah.
So like,
So wouldn't the solution be if we were to use shapes right now and you're going type A, type B,
yeah.
and you're saying that the medium is not the solution, couldn't we go up to a triangle and like get what's good in said end and get what's good in the other one, hence the upward direction?
Yeah, yeah.
To-
leave the shit down at the bottom.
And leave the shit down at the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah.
I don't know.
I think it is just it's a case by case basis. But I just
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
for sure.
With
and
it-
like,
with it-
I think
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when people say like, oh, the extremes are loudest online, like in my experience, it's actually the people giving out about how the extremes are the loudest that are actually the loudest. In my experience, like the main conversation I see is like, oh, well, both sides are bad and both sides are bad.
yeah,
That's the main conversation I see online.
Yes.
Like I find it really hard to find other socialists online. Like I rarely meet other people with my views. Like,
Because a lot of them are the silent majority.
yeah, well, even
You know,
minority,
they're
like,
silent because they're scared of getting ridiculed.
Yeah, and like and as well, like I don't believe in cancel culture because people say like, oh, people get such and such a person got cancelled, and it's like, oh yeah, they're talking about how they got cancelled on their new Netflix show.
Yeah,
Do you know, they're talking about how they got cancelled on this new social media platform that was invented just for them.
Yeah,
like,
they're just like not posting on social media for 6 months to then come out with a docu-series.
Yeah, like I've said it to people before who talk about cancel culture going too far and all this, and I'm like, right, point me to one person who has been cancelled and stayed cancelled and it wasn't for a genuine reason. And no one can ever do it. No one can ever show me someone who...
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, but that's a genuine reason. That's just...
that
means he committed a crime.
Oh, I forgot the genuine reason for you. I just like went straight into it.
Because both sides would agree.
Yeah.
He was
so it's like...
bad.
It's like...
He's bad for the
There's always a new term for that. It's like people used to say like it's PC culture, and then people got sick of hearing the term PC culture.
Snowflakes.
So now people say cancel, and that's just a new way of saying snowflake, which is a new way of saying politically correct, which is a new way of saying something they said back in the 80s. And it's like it's the same argument over and over and over. Like I read an article from Ireland that was about like socialism, like kind of it would have been early, kind of I think it was 1920, so very early into like Ireland. And I read through it, and the argument they were making about like the left was the exact same things I'm seeing people say online, like, oh, both sides are bad and everything. And it's just say, and people don't seem to see.
Why are people saying both sides are bad? That's mad.
Because it's kind of like if someone from the left would be saying something, you know, they get maybe not ridiculed, but heavily criticized, and the argument often goes, "You're a snowflake."
Yeah.
You know? And then it's sometimes, I don't know, but like I feel like it does kind of go vice versa too, where if someone on the right says something that they are called, what would they be called? Usually like it's very tough terms as well, like a Nazi or something like that.
Yeah.
Or a homophobe or a but again, I'm not saying that there is a space for racism whatsoever or homophobia either, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, and that's where like we kind of have to encourage the element of conversation in giving people that confidence maybe to speak out a little bit more about being socialist and the good side of socialism.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely,
I think one of the tricky things then as well is like when people look at like just say, for argument's sake, say cancel culture was real, right?
Okay.
And what annoys me then is the fact that people go, well, people should have freedom of speech. But the thing is, right, so if this person says something, right, they have been free to say that.
Yeah.
Now, these 1,000 people are free to say they don't like this. So they view it as, I'm not getting my free speech because you're not letting me say this thing. But like,
it goes both ways.
If you say you should say that and no like comments turned off, then these 1,000 people have lost their free speech.
Yeah.
So it's like free speech means it doesn't mean freedom from consequences. Like you could say what you want, but like that doesn't stop this person, that person, that person from saying what they want.
And that's where the responsibility lies, you know.
Do you know what I love? Right, I love that I don't like give a shit about let's say I don't give a shit about who's better, Ronaldo or Messi. Right. So if I watch like people who are fans of Ronaldo, maybe real fans of Ronaldo and Messi, totally divided, or just say Real Madrid versus Barcelona or whatever. If I'm watching that match, if I'm in a room with people who are Real Madrid or Barcelona, they're wearing jerseys. I don't support any. I have nothing to gain out of any of them winning. So I'm saying that to sort of, to put groundwork down for. Like what I say, as in I have no bias in it in my observation to say this. I get nothing out of it because I'm not on either side. But my objective view of the internet as a whole is that there's more people, that there is a delusion or a misunderstanding maybe on the right side that all this cancelling actually has any weight that there is, because so as I said, I don't support Barcelona, I don't support Real Madrid. So as I say this, I'm not arguing either side. But just as someone watching the match, like I can see who passed the ball, but it seems that there's more people on the right turning off comments. Or there's more people on, and I think it's like ironic. And I don't think that's not talking about everyone on one side as a whole. I think that goes back down to as humans, we normally are the thing that we hate the most. So we usually, when we get annoyed by something like this, like Carl Jung did all this work. He said, don't be like, he was talking about like, because everyone was like talking about how you should like learn to see the good and the evil, which is true. But he said you can do that. He said that's the easy part, is how to learn to love people doing horrendous tasks, or not tasks, maybe sometimes tasks or horrendous activities, and to learn to have love and compassion for that. He said, well, you could do that, it's easy. But learning to love the things that annoy you. So if someone's like tapping, or if someone, he said he reckoned the best way to learn about yourself in your deepest way is to look at those things that annoy you, and you will find that they're often things you do yourself. So I think that is definitely a thing where on the right they do a lot of the stuff that they hate the most, which is turning off comments and stuff like that. As I said again, I don't support Real Madrid or Barcelona, so I'm just as someone watching the match who knows nothing about soccer. That's just my opinion. Again, I know nothing about soccer, not a thing about it, so I could be completely wrong about everything. So just as a stupid person watching soccer,
I just think that people right now on the right that are a little bit more conservative are getting their accounts banned more than the latter.
I do, as someone that don't watch the match, I agree. I do see that.
You know what I mean?
I do see that.
That's all I think. Again, look, I live in a country where I have no vote. So that's where it also comes from, Now, interesting. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, sorry. I just wanted to make sure that's the sort of the labyrinth, the maze of all this nonsense is. As someone who knows nothing about soccer and doesn't support Barcelona or Real Madrid, I also see that. So I just wanted to say that. I do see both, but to be fair to everyone. But
my friend would have come up to me with a really interesting idea or model or theory, right?
Yeah.
Where it's she asked me if potentially the solution to political problems and making maybe decision making rather than putting the power in politicians. Is that basically the way things are voted, the way things are voted in is randomly getting a proper sample size of the population. So let's say 100,000, you get 100 to 200,000 people at random. It's your duty as a citizen that you then have to attend this massive conference or whatever for maybe a week, 2 weeks, depending on the policy that needs to go through. And you're going to get several experts in the topic from different ends.
Yeah.
Raising said issues, for example, psychologists, if we were to just bring in mental health, for example, psychologists, all that, people criticizing it as well that are well qualified, business, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you get a crash course into the policy over a proper set amount of dates.
Yeah.
And then the sample size has to vote kind of referendum style. And she said what happens there is that you kind of eliminate, potentially, you might eliminate the concept of people giving up because they know it's out of their control. The anger might dwindle down a little bit and the polarization might dwindle down because it's out of your control. But then the media and certain things are also left out of it.
Yeah.
Because it is proper experts going in.
Yeah.
Should be, let's put it that way,
Yeah.
That are trying to maybe persuade or just say it how it is to a massive sample size of the country. And if that is the political model, that could be the solution to it. That kind of I was interesting, not referendums. In the sense of there has to be millions being put into media campaigns and all that. Yeah. I don't know. I found that quite cool.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
What do you think, Mr. Socialist?
I don't know. I just think as well, I don't know. I always find it weird trying to find solutions because, as a socialist, it's weird for me because people will say certain things, but we tried the left wing thing and it didn't work and stuff. But Ireland has never had a left wing government. We've we've had.
Do you question the concept of democracy? Do you question the way things are happening though in terms of voting and democracy? Do you
a little bit,
that?
but to be fair, with the branch of social, because I couldn't put an exact label on type of social but I would be close to the idea of kind of think they call it like council communism, and it's
Never heard of it. Okay.
basically the whole idea of like everything is kind of more on like a localized council level, and like so like your government is like made up of like like kind of like the working people in the area, or like with the like the working classes are the people. So it's not like it's a lot less authoritarian than like, oh, that person up there is dictating everything. It's very much like community, like, and like each of those communities kind of come together and stuff. And there might be certain layers to it. Like there's loads. To be fair, there's so many different theories for socialism. Like I've tried to.
I didn't know that there were like I never heard of that model actually.
Oh yeah, there's loads, because like like if you were to look at the political compass again, like it like so you'd have like authoritarian to libertarianism. So like, and again, I keep saying I don't fully like the compass is like, you know, it's 4 quadrants. It's not going to be fully accurate. But like up here, you'd have like authoritarian socialism, communism, which is what people think of when they hear communism. They think of like Mao and Stalin.
Yeah.
But like if you go all the way down here, you have at the very bottom here, you'd have anarcho-communism. So the idea is that communism, but like there's no government, there's no state. Like, so it's like it is like there's such a wide spectrum of that. Like, you know, so it's like me trying to sum it up now is very difficult because there's so many different types of socialism.
Is there a working example though? Like, has there been a country or a society that gave it a test, or is it just a model on a textbook right now?
I think it's mostly on a textbook right now, because to be fair, there has been very few socialist states in general, like, of any kind of socialism.
Yeah.
Even in the world now, I think there's 4 or 5 at most.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but very few, like very, very few.
Wow.
And
I
like
thought more, but okay.
And like, sure, like, yeah, it's, I don't know. I won't get into it. I talk too much about politics.
No.
Okay,
like, it's your podcast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, but I usually just like avoid politics. Like,
It's okay. Well, we're in it. I know it's
it
okay.
got political.
It's just funny. Like at the end of the day, I always get deep into that. And even when I'm saying don't support Barcelona, and like, and even when I go on about that, like it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, it sort of contradicts my true beliefs as well. Like even having the conversation is because like the conversation I want to have more about is, although it's more abstract, is about. I feel like the conversation that's missing the most is that neither side or very few communities are talking about is just like questioning what is love, or why. Like we ask, like, I don't know. I feel like we stopped like asking like what's the point in life, or
what is love for you though?
baby, don't hurt me.
No more. No more. What is love?
Love is growth. Love. I like love. I think love is the constant force in the universe. I think it's the reason. I think it is the reason. Kind of full stop. I think it is the reason. I think it's like it is like in loads of levels. Like it's the space. It's the space between the words I'm saying now. It's the substance. It's the reason why you can hear what I'm saying right now. It's the reason why there's even any point of registering it. It's growth. It's like momentum. I would say if I was to answer that in the simplest way in my head would be, love is the reason. Full stop. I think I'd say that. Like, yeah.
What about you, Stevie?
What is love?
Pizza. I think pizza.
Oh my god.
Pizza is love for me as well. Sorry. Go on.
I don't know. I'd find it hard to actually define what love is. Like, it's kind of like, love is just something you experience. Like, trying to put a definition on it, like, I think you're wasting time when you could just be experiencing love.
Oh,
you know, it's like,
there you go.
So if you sit there and try to like categorize what is love, and you spend ages
an
writing
experience.
at the end, like you'd spend your whole life doing it. At the end, you'd be like, oh, okay, I didn't actually live in love. Like, so it's like, just find things that make you happy, and chances are it's love. If it's not, try to get through it and move on to something else that brings you love. Like, and that's all you can do in life, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. Huh, there you go.
God, we're actually, is this our longest episode? Yeah. Is it? That's mad. It wasn't me.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good. We had one. I think you just bet the record by a couple of minutes.
Go on.
We had a thing at Christmas.
I could keep going as long as I fucking could. I love talking.
What I was gonna say though, was there something I can't remember? Was the the only time? What time do you get your train at? Is that?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I think
soon enough. Anyways.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, in case you missed it. That's why I was watching a few minutes ago.
I also missed the call, like, half an hour ago, so I should probably check.
Oh, really? Yeah, we're actually doing a thing. We're setting up like for a festival that's going on in the square at the moment.
Oh shit! What are you doing?
Just we build loads of art projects for it and stuff. So we're just helping out, sticking up that. So we actually rushed back up. We had lots of paint all over.
That's
Stevie
why,
has
yeah,
a bit
I
of
still
paint
have
still
I
on.
see.
bits of paint.
Is it happening tonight? Also, my train's in an hour. So
Grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was gonna say before, I think we'll finish up in a few minutes, and we can still chat after and stuff. But it just I know it'll be like it's just the editing for Owen will be the problem. I'm just
so
being aware
sorry.
of
I'll
that.
revolute you or something like.
No.
I'm so sorry. This is what
Well, he does
like
get
Jamie
paid.
feels like on Joe Rogan.
But he does
probably, or
get
something.
paid technically.
Oh,
so,
does he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then I'll revolute
okay.
you nothing instead.
But yeah, what I was gonna say, do you like? Why do you feel like you wanted to stay in Ireland? Are you passionate about? Because it's interesting that you are interested in politics. Not to go back into politics, but like what like. As in, it's interesting.
Not down this road again. Look at Stevie right now.
Yeah. What do you think of people? What do you think of people you don't like? What do you think about them? I love them.
That's a hard question to
That's
answer
why-
'cause it depends on specific people.
I know, I
like,
worry.
that's
Yeah.
very vague. It's like
Yeah.
because if I was like, oh yeah, I try to love people I don't like, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, so you love Jimmy Savile, like it's like,
Yeah.
it all depends. It's a case by case basis, like
I
on what
love
you think
Jimmy
of someone.
Savile.
Like.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Just like end the
Clip that.
podcast.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Yeah. Why do
yeah.
I stay in Ireland?
Yeah, why are you here right now?
Why are you here right now? Okay. So when it comes to opportunities that like are back home versus Ireland, it's a massive stepping stone.
Okay, yeah.
And specifically with Dublin, love it or hate it, as a creative, in terms of context for Ireland, that's where
Yeah.
things and opportunities are.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And it's also kind of like probably an acceptance as well, where if I want something to happen and it's Dublin and someone
Yeah.
lives across the country, there is that general acceptance of, okay, I have to travel to Dublin, you know? What concerts are happening in Tipperary right now? Like Westlife is not here.
No.
You know?
But some of the biggest people ever who played in Ireland played in Thurles at the
Yeah.
first
Did
ever
they?
festival.
First
in
Irish
Ireland.
festival was in Thurles.
Just
How many
literally
years
in
ago?
The stadium there, 1990s.
Mid to kind of mid 90s, but like
Mid-90s. Okay.
Foo Fighters, Prodigy, like
Right,
Nirvana
there
were
you go.
supposed to play at, but it got cancelled and Kurt committed suicide. So
was that not a different gig?
no, they were supposed to play in Thurles. There was
Oh,
some
no way.
booking or prepared for a couple of years before that they had contract or something like that.
I say make this the capital.
Wow, that's our goal is to turn this
Yeah.
into wholesome Hollywood. We want Thurles. We want to like that's literally we said on the first podcast is our goal is to turn Thurles into wholesome Hollywood, which is like, and it's a sort
I
of
love that.
symbolism. It's sort of more than anything, like it's you know, the Hollywood without the cocaine and plastic surgery is a good thing. Like not plastic surgery, sorry, but Hollywood without the. I didn't say plastic surgery. I just meant plastic. I actually think plastic surgery is okay. I don't know why the fuck I said that. But I was thinking like, yeah, just I meant to say plastic. Yeah, plastic cocaine. That's what I think of Hollywood. And I mean, plastic is in fake. I think plastic surgery is a good thing. I think you should get it if you want to. And I'm going to get some soon.
Get that BBL girls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or boys.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just basically because I think it's cool that Hollywood's main industry is creativity. And I think our main industry in this town with the amount of creative people could be Hollywood.
Yeah.
Or creativity. Yeah.
There you
Our
go.
main
Like
industry is
there's like a
Hollywood.
shit ton of Quentin Tarantino's running around like over here.
Yeah. Touching people's feet. He's into feet. Do you know that?
Owen.
No, not Owen. Tarantino.
Ah.
I was telling you that
Sorry,
Quentin.
but like you looked over there.
I know.
like-
I was telling Owen that Quentin Tarantino he's into feet. Like.
Yeah, you'll see it in almost.
Oh
any-
yeah, yeah. I saw that recently.
So we have lots of people into feet in
Yeah.
Thurles.
Yeah. But yeah, like why Ireland for now, like in terms of like context for my life and my
Yeah.
upbringing, it is a privilege to be here and have this like be
Yeah.
happening, considering how small of a country like I come from and all that.
Yeah.
I do think that Ireland, again, like from a political level, sorry Stevie, but like like for
Yeah.
like young people and like youth and all that, I understand why a lot of people are starting to immigrate a lot more again.
Yeah.
Because I do think that it is a little bit discouraging if you are not into the GAA,
Oh, yeah.
or if you're not into drinking, and
Oh, no,
maybe you didn't
That's
have
not even political. That's fact.
exactly. No, but like my context
Yeah.
was that I didn't find, like, I didn't go to a school that I liked. I didn't have a friend group. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
like that sort of thing. So I never had that association of, oh my God, if I leave, I'm gonna lose my friends. You know.
Yeah.
And I think that is like probably that should be normalized. Not everyone ends up being born in the right place at the right time, sent to the right school where the buddies are like their soulmates from the fucking age of 4.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I understand right now Ireland and why so many people are leaving, because it is getting harder. Like, public transport is not really a thing. If you want a car, your insurance is crazy fucking high for no reason. So you can't even explore your own country at your own pace and at your own comfort, you know? So yeah, there's like a lot of things, but I do think that Ireland is good for me right now.
That's cool.
You know?
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, you seem to, you can tell by your personality that you seem to, I don't know. Yeah, it's good that you can be able to keep up with the conversation, or even like up the level of the conversations in Ireland, like with people.
Like, I do struggle a little bit. Like, one of my, not even major insecurities right now, but like something that has constantly been on my mind is I am struggling to grow an Irish listener base, or like an Irish community. A lot of people are tuning in for the guests and not for me, because they can't exactly relate to me, because I am not your Irish girlo and I am not an Irish lad that has banter and like all that kind of stuff. So there is a very, like, I'm different, but I'm different in a way where they haven't seen it yet. They probably haven't seen a Maltese person, or spoken to a Maltese person, you know? So there was a part of me where I was like, Blind Boy's doing it and everyone loves Blind Boy. They're not going to love Debbie, you know?
Do you know? Yeah. Sorry.
And only recently I had to like realize that being different, like, I have to embrace that difference and really lean into it and feed people something that they haven't seen or heard before.
Yeah.
Rather than try to be the next Blind Boy, or else I'm never going to make it, you know?
That's the thing with it. There's no space for the next Blind Boy, because there's only one, and there's no space for that.
Exactly.
And you know what, to be honest, all the people, fuck them. All the Irish people who don't watch them, fuck them. Like, I straight up have confidence saying that, fuck them. Because if you think we have notions now, because there is this weird thing, right, in Ireland, like that. I don't know, for a few reasons. There's a reason they all listen to Blind Boy. Like, there is like this weird thing. If you can blow up in Ireland, you can, because people, I don't know, on a whole other level, like, people will really only consume content or talk about content that their friends are into. With the majority, it's different to the exception, but I'd say the majority of people in Ireland only consume what their friends consume, and it's like, okay, Blind Boy, so the majority said Blind Boy's cool, which he is, but like, just like the majority said that, so now they have approval. Now I can listen to him, and now I can talk about him. There's definitely a stigma in Ireland where people do that. So
like, not that many people, like, I get the DMs, but I don't get that many people sharing it or just being like, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes I find it hard then to look at other Irish podcasters that like would have started recently, and I'm like, how the fuck do you get so many people tweeting at you and share? Like, why can't you celebrate, like,
there's a formula, and it's actually like, you could do it, and we could do it. We figured it out. Like, we know what it is, but it's kind of, you can't have conversations like this though. So it's like, you want to talk about the GA, or do you want to talk about like shifting some young one last night? That's the formula. Like if you want to get big in Ireland, a podcast, it's like Blind Boy is probably the most authentic one, because he gets away with sort of talking about those topics in a very self-aware way and sort of
Yes.
nearly shining light on the nonsense of those topics.
Yeah.
And he talks about mental health and all that, so it's cool. But it's all the same conversation. But like the podcasts that are blowing up now, it's all around that. Like it's like these very easy cultural things. Like you said about comedians, they do it as well in Ireland. They have the same jokes in Ireland. Potatoes, breakfast roll.
Yeah, like I said,
Culture,
they
yeah.
call like people people on Twitter refer to it as chicken fillet roll. Chicken fillet roll wooden spoon left the immersion on humor.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's like someone will like share a picture on Facebook and be like, "Oh, remember when your mum would get the wooden spoon and a picture of a spoon?" And you have like fucking 5,000 likes. And
It's
it's like,
really-
I've seen this post like fucking 20 times in the last fucking 2 months. Like,
Yeah,
and, it's just like,
and
and
like-
people are still laughing at it, and it's just like you're regurgitating the same. Just there's no joke there. It's just relatability. There's no joke. Like,
And what scares me, and like this is like me being vulnerable, but like before I was at a point where I used to go like, oh, am I ever gonna make it? Like if I kept seeing all these metrics and going like they keep consistently growing, they keep landing these deals.
Fuck 'em.
But I know, fuck them, and like my decision was to be authentic, and
Yeah,
like
same. I was
I'm
there.
hoping, and like my gamble right now, or my risk is hoping that the longer I keep doing this, the bigger it gets, you know.
Yeah.
But it was very discouraging at that point where I was like, man, like no one can relate to me, you know, like no one can relate to me because I left the country.
Yeah.
So I obviously don't identify with it too much. But
Yeah.
I'm also in a country that is not, I'm not saying celebrating me because I don't need to be celebrated. But
Yeah.
like they can't relate to me just because it
No,
is
I
what
know.
it is, like facts, you know?
I know what you mean, because when it is, and part of that's because you feel like it's normal to feel like that. It should be celebrated because there's a lot of work going into this. Like we're just saying, like we've done like 100 and some episodes. We could still get like fucking barely like sometimes episodes 50 views or something, like even way less than that. It doesn't even. But like the thing you had to learn was like it's all about having faith. Like I believe that it was like I don't know, any podcast you will not find a podcast that's done 500 episodes that isn't making loads of money. I will give anyone money if they find that, because it doesn't exist. And like, so eventually it breaks through if you keep doing it, you keep going. It's like the whole practice. It's the Bruce Lee, like to practice. You can practice 1,000 kicks once, or one kick 1,000 times. What we're doing and you're doing is practice that kick 1,000 times, and people will feel it. Like, and that's a fact, and that is a written fact that anyone, if you look at anyone that's persisted in anything, I think like part of life is getting those feelings of going down and be like, oh, it's not working, or people don't like it. Like I was going through that a lot with like basing it on the numbers, and then it would change when like one person would say something sound out, and like, even if no one but that one person's listening to this, that's why I accepted that. Even if no one but that one person listens to this, that's okay, because this is actually really fun to do. It's fun to meet you. It's amazing to meet you. It's fun to meet Stevie and Owen and you and Haley and everyone else every Saturday, and it's like we're just showing up to meet, and it's just like, oh, and now there's an extra thing. That's why I only recently started. And seeing it like that, and that's like, oh, and also it might blow up, and people might get value out of it, and all these things, which is extra. So if you make the primary thing of how you as a person doing, you're enhancing your abilities to listen, to grow as an individual. It's an opportunity for you, even if no one ever listened to it, for you to just grow and get to a position where that then we could get so confident and comfortable, and you build up such a flow in your show, then it'll really start attracting people. Like it just will. Like if you just stay at it, it will. Like
for sure.
100%.
Like quitting, it's not an option in this, anyways, because I'm just talking at the end of the day. It's just like a few hours to set up and a few hours to edit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's mad.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do really believe in your podcast. Anyway, I think I believe in you as well as a person, because your ability to listen. Seems very innate, and it sounds like it was there since you were younger. So you've got that step ahead of 99% of people, including myself, who first started off this. I only started to learn to listen because of the podcast. Like, you know, so when you have that upper hand from a young age, like you will shine through. There's some 90. It was something mad, like 95% of podcasts quit after episode 7 or something like that.
It's a discouraging thing, you know, like you do not get, unless you are an influencer and already had like a massive platform.
Yeah.
This is not the place for like dopamine hits.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get anything.
Yeah.
For a very long time.
No,
you know?
definitely.
So yeah.
But you know, the other side though is I did get a dopamine hit today, and it's not like, you know, no one's even watching this yet. Like, it's not going to go out till Monday.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a dopamine
I love
hit
that
of talking to you. Like,
yeah, I love
cool.
that high, like a conversation high nearly, even where you go back, you're like, oh my God, I had such a good chat. Like, I love what you said about the whole like political thing and socialism and all that. Like, it really changed my perspective on the way people communicate and like perspectives on the right and the left.
Because that's your whole point, is you had a conversation. Without that conversation, you'd have never changed your view.
Yeah, like that's going to stay
that's why
with
it's
me.
really cool that you said that. And you know,
like you were like quiet for a sec. Like, I'm so happy I asked you.
Yeah.
Because like, that's going to stay with me.
Yeah, that's class. That's really cool. We're all trying, folks. Good job to everyone for trying. Good job. Owen's not trying. Owen's succeeding.
Yeah.
How dare you say Owen's trying? Owen does not try. He's Yoda. He only succeeds.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll finish off now. Thanks a million for coming on and coming down. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Sure, if we have time, if you're up for, we could go for a walk up to that festival thing, or just up the square. We can. We have anyway
40 minutes and the train would leave the station. So.
Okay, we'll figure that out then after we stop recording.
For once.
Yeah. If people follow your podcast, how did they do that? Or they go to your Instagram?
They go on Take 2 as the number, and do not spell it out, with Debbie Shaw.
Okay,
it's
and
quite an easy.
We'll put a link in the comments.
Put a link. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram, TikTok, everything.
Yeah, and thanks for coming, and thanks for existing in this world. It's a hard thing to do sometimes. Yeah. You're doing very well at it. So thanks for on behalf of the universe, thank you.
Thank you, universe.
Yeah. And thanks to everyone for watching who's also part of this universe, apparently. It's pretty mad to think about, isn't it, Stevie?
Go on, Stevie. Go on, Stevie.
Also, thank you to the people who are watching from parallel universes that have found the technology to view into our universe.
So we're getting fuck all views in this universe, but we're actually the most popular people in
We're on billboards.
People in 2,300. Hello.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
In parallel universe, I think it's Zaid. I can't remember. I'll check the emails again, which one is watching us. But.
Yeah. And if you think we're getting notions doing this podcast now, wait till we are the biggest podcast. You're gonna hate us, aren't they? On
Subscribe, guys.
It's weird because that's the weird thing. That's like what
subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe
to Ireland's.
Yeah, Ireland podcast. Yeah, that's my spelling mistake that I did on purpose out of marketing plan. But yeah, no, thanks to everyone, and only messing about the notions. Go get yourself some notions, because as we read earlier, that this description would be quite an honourable thing to have. So go get yourself some notions and give it a go. And see you next week. Bye.
Ciao.
Taste of strawberry medicine as it runs down my neck. I feel it draw me in, and when it settles on my mind, just know you'll find me there inside.